it away from doors and windows, especially with the tornado threat, the large hail and the winds. This is one that you especially need to seek shelter during and factor in all of those risks. And this warning goes until 7:15 p.m. and we'll be on air every step of the way or until the threat has passed that pink polygon that takes us all the way through the eastern tier of Hancock County. That shows you that current warning that is in effect. And as I mentioned, we are looking at hail that has been reported and been observed. And this storm actually has a history of producing some hail. There are some storm reports. If we look over towards Van Wert, if we can take that map full screen, you will notice that there have been a number of hail reports, and that's what we are currently seeing. Also, in addition to the tornado warning, these storms do have a history of producing large and damaging hail. And as far as other severe active weather going on, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in Putnam County. This Hancock cell is the only tornado warned cell in our area, but we are also watching a cluster of storms in Putnam County and then some storms further to the south of Lima. These are all moving to the east at approximately 40 miles per hour, so racing to the east, and we'll continue to keep an eye on any changes with this one. Again, that large hail directly over the city of Findlay right now, and we'll see if we can get an updated velocity scan on this one showing you any rotation that may be occurring. Our rotation tool is often a good indicator for some potential spinning in the atmosphere that may be occurring right along I-75 just to the south and west of the city of Findlay. There's a lot of lightning with this storm cell, very heavy rain, and there could also be some hail with this cell occurring. And again, that is just to the south and right overhead of the city of Findlay right now, pushing into eastern Hancock County right now. And it does seem like that storm is racing on through. I don't see any changes as far as the tornadic threat goes. Chris, do you have any updates for us?
Yeah, a few updates here because we are getting some indications where we could be seeing the most likely spin in the atmosphere. And John, if you're familiar with this area, so if you're coming down I-75, you branch off with 68. We've got the Blanchard Valley Hospital right in that area. There's a Kroger just off of South Main Street. It is passing over that vicinity there. So the Kroger just off of South Main Street. So generally, if you're anywhere in the city of Findlay, I certainly want you to seek shelter at this point. But it does appear that where we may be seeing the rotation is south on Main Street out there toward Blanchard Valley Hospital, just off of Route 68. This continues to move to the east. John, it appears that we are getting an update, at least from the National Weather Service, on what this tornado warning is. We're 5 minutes away from the top of the hour, 6:55. Officially, this is going to be in effect until 7:15. So there's another 20 minutes that we will continue to dedicate our coverage to what we believe is a serious situation, serious enough to indicate potential rotation within this particular cell. A lot of lightning with this as well. So it's going to get your attention. It is that booming thunder that you're hearing in the city of Findlay. This is getting ready now to push to the east on 224. And it does appear that we are seeing that steadier rotation south on 224. A couple updates that we're getting in right now. That's why we've got that constant communication. We're getting word that we are now live on the airwaves down in WFIN in Findlay. So if you need to seek shelter and your TV is not somewhere nearby, you can crank on a WFIN. So our media partners down there in Findlay, they are broadcasting our coverage live as well over their airwaves. It is our dedication to keep you safe. So just getting communication from our friends down in Findlay. We are also now live on Fox 36 as well, covering this active tornado warning. This is in effect until 7:15, the alert for that tornado warning, but there's a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to go ahead and tell you over toward Macomb and Benton Ridge that you're in the clear from this particular tornado warning. John, I suspect that's what the update was. They've gone ahead and they've tightened up this box here a little bit. It does extend all the way to the Hancock County line. So we're going to give an alert to this one. John, if you could widen the picture out just a little bit as well, go back to our radar reflectivity. Where this is going to be heading next as it moves to the east at 40 miles per hour. I want to give you a heads up in Seneca County. You don't have a warning at this point, but out there toward New Regal, in this southwest corner along 224 and south, that's going to be the area that I'd be most concerned if we see an extension to this active tornado warning that is across Hancock County. This is where it's going to be going next, and working very closely with the Cleveland National Weather Service. Typically, when we get storms like this that have a tendency to begin the rotation, we're a little bit more conservative. We go ahead and we see those warnings typically extended in many cases until we're certain that we don't have any danger that is present. So as it stands right now, it is a single tornado warning that is in effect until 7:15. It is is now through Findlay and now moving to the east. And John, let's get back closer to the city of Findlay, where that immediate danger has been, and we've got some data that we continue to look at. It does appear that that rotation is going to be moving east of Findlay. So in the next few moments, not quite ready to do it yet, we're going to get a new radar scan. And that radar scan is going to come in about the next 30 to 60 seconds. And what you're going to see is the jump of that back edge of the reflectivity that we have on radar. It's going to be jumping to the east. So we do suspect that if we still have active rotation with this, it is now moving east of Findlay. So we're not going to give you the all clear yet in Findlay because we are still under that active tornado warning. But in the next few moments, as we get the new data that will continue to pour in, I do suspect that we are going to be seeing that potentially lift. This is looking to be heading now just north and west of Vanlue. So here's Vanlue down here. To the north and to the west, this is the vicinity. So we're south of 224 in eastern parts of Hancock County. John, go ahead and tell me what just popped up here. We've had an alert popped up. So I'm gonna guess that that's the rotating wall cloud report.
Yeah, that looks to be the storm report that we reported on a few minutes ago. If we zoom in on that, this information says that a funnel cloud was observed by a trained spotter. So that goes to show the severity of this storm and the potential that it does have for a possible tornado. You can read the information there on your screen as far as the location goes. This was at State Route 12 and I-75 before it became rain wrapped. In other words, some very heavy torrential rain was reported with this cell. So in addition to the rain, some strong winds were reported. We're keeping an eye especially on the southeast side of Findlay right now. That funnel report goes to show that this storm is really packing a punch, and it is really the southeast side of Findlay that we want to give you the heads up about. This tornado warning was trimmed now to predominantly central and southeastern Hancock County, and that is where we're watching that rotation south and east of the city of Findlay. There was some active rotation that was occurring right as this storm cell passed I-75, so we want to look in on areas just to the southeast of Findlay that could be in the line of fire for this storm. Chris pointed out Vanlue earlier. That is where we're continuing to see some rotation. You can see that ongoing rotation indicated by the blue color on our screen there, and that was corroborated by that storm report that we just showed you. As far as the other threats of this storm, we did get some indications of very, very heavy rain, also seeing hail, and we're keeping a close eye on those velocity scans, especially southeast of Findlay. That is one of the spots we're the most concerned about right now. Southeast of the city of Findlay as this storm races to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So we can put a storm cone on this. We're moving on very quickly, and we do want you, if you live in Hancock County, you got to be in your safe spot right now as this storm rolls on through at about 40 miles an hour, still seeing that trajectory and that motion moving very, very quickly. So if it does extend into Wyandotte and Seneca County, the city of Cary could be next in the line of fire if this storm does maintain its intensity, racing off to the east. And we're continuing to see if there's any updates as far as rotation goes. Some reports in Findlay facing southeast. We are seeing some clouds that could be ominous and rotating to the south and east of the city of Findlay. So generally it is to the southeast in Hancock County where the worst of the storm is occurring right now. You can see we just got a radar scan. Some of those bright red colors between Findlay and Vanlue, that is an area where the rotation could be the most impactful right now. And I do want to pop on the storm reports. We did see that funnel report that occurred right as this storm was crossing the I-75 corridor. We don't have any additional reports, but there are a lot of storm spotters, trained storm spotters, who are talking about some broad rotation with this storm system, and we're watching the potential for any additional reports as it moves off to the east at 40 miles an hour. But right now, those of you that live near Findlay and southeast of Findlay, you need to be on the highest alert. If you have any friends or family in that pink polygon, make sure that they are safe and they're in their basement. They're in that interior room away from doors and windows. We got that funnel report. We got the rapidly rotating and lowering wall cloud report, and those are two visual corroborations that, hey, not only are we seeing this on radar, but we are also seeing a trained storm spotter that has reported spinning or rotation in the atmosphere, and the most significant of that appears now to be to the south and east of the city of Findlay. We're keeping a very close eye also on Seneca and Wyandotte counties to see if this storm does extend and maintain its intensity, but oftentimes, since this area, as Chris pointed out, doesn't have the best radar coverage, if there are indications and visual confirmations coming from the sky, we have to rely on those train spotter reports, and there is the chance that this will get extended as it pushes on over to the east towards Seneca County as well as towards Cary as well. So if we can take that map full screen, I'm going to see if we have any additional storm reports.
Yeah, John, I'm going to have you go over to radar again. We're going to bring it back over to radar because I'm going to give you the all clear now in Findlay because I think that's important information. Even though the active tornado warning is still till 7:15, as I mentioned before, we've got the latest data, so you are all clear from that tornado warning, at least the risk of it if you are in the city of Findlay, so we can kind of breathe a breath of fresh air. This threat is now moving to the east, and it is along and south of 224. John, if we could get a little bit closer to where we think this risk is, this is going to be an area that is gets a little bit more remote east of Findlay. We're looking at here's 224 that is out there, and this is 568 out there toward Riverbend Park, I believe, in that area, and that's about the direction or the area that we're seeing the potential rotation. John, if you could give me a velocity scope, why don't you go ahead and see if that scope is hitting on any velocity features that would be showing up just to the north and to the west of Vanlue is where I suspect. So there's 568. We're actually going to have to switch that data scope to the nearest radar site to get that velocity signature. So there's a slide in there, John. But here it is, 568. That's where I expect, as I mentioned, Riverbend Park is in this vicinity. That is east of Findlay in Hancock County. That's the area right along Route 568. We're on the south end of this little cluster. Here we are in Findlay, and again, I've given you the all clear. We continue to broadcast not only on air here across Northwest Ohio on WTOL 11 and Fox 36, but also our radar partners down there in Findlay are taking our signal and broadcasting it as well as a safety concern. John, we're getting an update here. I can see that and the potential. If you can come in with anything new, if you end up seeing anything new that triggers with that warning that has just been updated by the National Weather Service, it does appear that still is in effect. And it will be in effect until 7:15.
Yeah, so we actually do have some new information, Chris, and I'm reading verbatim the text from the National Weather Service. We talked initially about how this was radar indicated. Right now, per the National Weather Service Cleveland, a tornado has been located near Vanlue or 7 miles to the east of Findlay. So based on this information, it does appear that there was a tornado that was spotted and is actively occurring, and this is moving to the east at 45 miles an hour, Chris. That's the data bulletin from the National Weather Service. Law enforcement has confirmed this tornado. So this is no longer just a radar indication. Law enforcement in Hancock County has confirmed this tornado near Vanlue or 7 miles to the east of Findlay. So I want to zoom in on the area where we are the most concerned about, where there was a law enforcement confirmed tornado. Vanlue needs to take shelter, get indoors away from those doors and windows, preferably your basement. Not only are we seeing the Doppler radar rotation, but we are getting confirmation from law enforcement that there is a likely tornado on the ground there, and this is now 7 miles to the east of Findlay. So this storm has passed the city of Findlay. Chris did give the all clear to the city of Findlay, and we've really narrowed in that pink polygon, including the city of Vanlue, where this damaging storm has likely produced a tornado. Additionally, there is going to be some quarter-sized hail with this one, and of course, with any tornado warned storm, especially when you do get confirmation, there is the risk for flying debris and damage. So please take this seriously. If you have any friends or family down towards Vanlue, you need to give them the heads up that this is not just a scary radar image, but it is something that has been spotted by local law enforcement. It's been something we've been on air with you every step of the way. This warning still does seem to extend until 7:15, but Chris, we did just get an extension there. If we look off to the east now.
Just as we expected we would, John.
Yep, as we expected. Now it does include Seneca County, and it also goes towards northern Wyandotte and northern Crawford counties. As far as the extent of these new warnings, we can broaden out the picture and show you where those warnings are in effect for.
John, go ahead and get me the times of those warnings. And while you do that, we're going to bring it back over here to the weather wall because we're going to talk about, we've got that velocity signature pulled up right now. We're going to get really specific with this. Mentioned before, 568. Remember, we're using that as our landmark. This is the area that I'm seeing the potential rotation. So to give you a landmark, here we are in Vanlue. John mentioned it. I need you to be in your shelter place, safety place, if you are down in Vanlue. I suspect this rotation is just north of State Route 15. You may travel that often on your way down there toward Columbus, so you know this area as you head through Vanlue. It is just north of State Route 15, right along 568. So if I can bound this area just to the north and to the west of Vanlue, that is where we're seeing the potential rotation. And as John said, this is more than just potential rotation. At this time, it has been confirmed, or at least believed by law enforcement, that there has been a tornado at some point on the ground, and we can highlight specifically where that area is. And again, I'm going to give you that all clear. In Findlay, here's along State Route 37. If you're in State Route 37 or live along that route or west of it, you are all clear as well. That active tornado warning is just east of State Route 37. I do believe the circulation is closer to about 568. That is State Route 568, just north and west of Vanlue. There's State Route 15. This is a feature on Doppler radar that does indicate the potential of rotation. And John, if you could switch back to our reflectivity feature, we'll see if there's any indication, because in addition to the rotation we're seeing here, yeah, it's on the southwest corner of that storm that has shown that rotation. So not unusual with that. Another area of concern, John, and this is just outside of that tornado warning, looks to be perhaps a hail core that's developing on the northwest corner of that. That is going to be moving across 23. Should stay north of Cary, although I need you in your safe spot if you're in Cary, because we have that active tornado warning that does include now northern Wyandotte County, southern parts of Seneca County, and it does include New Riegel. About 20 minutes ago, we gave you the shout out and said heads up. Next up, it could be New Riegel. That is along, here's Route 23. Moving through southern Seneca County, there's 224 where that tornado warning does impact. John, you should have the latest information out. What counties officially are under the tornado warning, and until when?
So in addition to the Hancock warning, it is until 7:45 that we have these new warnings that were issued, and that includes the southern tier of Seneca County, as well as far northern Wyandotte and northwestern Crawford counties. So there is a little bit of an extra buffer time accounting for the motion of this storm. We talked about how it's moving to the east at about 45 miles per hour, now exiting Hancock County, and it is going to be racing through Seneca County within the next 45 minutes. Again, it's 7:09 p.m. right now. This warning extends until 7:45, and it also does clip the northern tiers of Wyandotte and Crawford counties as well with that direct east motion. And we do have confirmation that a tornado was spotted by law enforcement, and that is why the National Weather Service opted to extend it, because it does look like this storm is maintaining its intensity. Those pink polygons show you the newly minted tornado warnings. Meanwhile, on the backside of this system, we still do have thunderstorm warnings that are in effect for portions of Putnam and Hancock counties. So those are also some strong and powerful storms, but we're keeping an especially close eye on the eastern extent of this storm cell. I want to put back up Doppler radar in motion. You can see almost a due easterly motion, and these are moving very quickly at about 40 to 45 miles an hour, racing into Seneca County. We've been keeping a very close eye on any additional reports, especially looking at locations now that are exiting as this storm exits Hancock County and pushes into Seneca County. That is going to be our next focal point as far as where this storm will bring some significant impacts.
And John, that's exactly what we're going to do, and that's where we're heading next, because that threat is, as John said, and very spot on. John, great data and great assessment with that. Is this really kind of evolves by the minute? So just about a few minutes ago, we said it was north of Vanlue. So here's Vanlue. It appears this is going to be scooting just north of you. So north of Vanlue, north of 568, this is going to get ready to exit. This is the Hancock-Seneca County line, and right along there, there's 223. So anywhere from about Cary all the way up to Fostoria, I just want you to be in your safe place. So if you are in Cary, you are under the tornado warning. You are next up for this, although I do suspect that this may go just north of you. We did get word from the Hancock County Sheriff that they have no reports of damage at this time. So that's great news. So we've got the tornado warning. We've got the coverage. You are all clear in the city of Findlay. We continue to be broadcast, though, over the air with our radio affiliates down there. So if you're in a location that is still under an active tornado warning, I need you to crank the volume up of the TV, crank that radio up. WFIN and our other radio partners carrying our over-the-air signal to let you know what is happening and where. So we're along 23 now, so we're getting into Seneca County. There's 224 in the junction of 23. It appears that from about that junction or intersection with 224 and 23 along Route 23 to about Cary is where we're going to be seeing that greatest risk as it now enters into Seneca County. That is also going to be including parts of Seneca County that includes Tiffin as well. So John, if you could go a little bit wider with this, Tiffin is technically under that tornado warning as well. Really goes just along 224 into the city of Tiffin. Here is Route 587 as well. That's State Route 587 where the junction with 224 does come in western Seneca County. It's right in this area that we've seen that rotation, or at least possibility of the rotation, that's going to be getting very close to crossing 23. That is going to be south, well south of Fostoria, but north of Cary where that rotation's occurring. John?
So I do want to give a special update to New Riegel. The city of New Riegel is in the line of fire of this storm. This is an area that the National Weather Service has identified as being a strong risk for a possible tornado on the ground. So if you have friends or family in New Riegel, I do want to give you a special warning that this tornado is likely headed in your vicinity. I do also want to show you the local storm reports because we do have some new information. I talked about the funnel that was spotted near the city of Findlay, and also law enforcement observed a likely tornado. This occurred at Ohio State Route 37 and Township Road 168. And right now we are watching this likely rotation moving towards the city of New Riegel as this enters Seneca County. So we are now watching the storm move from Hancock County into Seneca County. So it's locations in western Seneca County that do need to be on high alert and be in that tornado shelter immediately as we watch the strongest rotation currently to the north of Cary and the southwest of Tiffin. That is where we are likely seeing the strongest rotation on Doppler radar right now. And the city of New Riegel, I pointed out, take cover now. There is a likely tornado that is racing in from the west. And also we're seeing some heavy rain with this one. I do want to also give you note that due to the rain, this can be a potentially even more impactful situation because it's not always clear, even with trained spotters, when there is heavy rain potentially wrapping around the periphery of a funnel or a tornado. It's very difficult to identify. And as we approach the sunset hour, it's getting dark outside. So New Riegel, Seneca County, get in that basement and get in that safe shelter.
Very good point there, John, because this is very likely rain-wrapped. There's some strong words coming with this warning now out of the National Weather Service office in the Cleveland jurisdiction. And John mentioned it as well. I talked about that junction with 224 and 587. New Riegel should be about right in this vicinity. John, why don't you go ahead and get a little bit closer? And I'm assuming it's going to come in right around the end of the fingertip. Yep, there it is. So New Riegel, this is 587 here. There's 224 on the northern extent of the screen. Here's Route 23. So we're well south of Fostoria. We're well north of Cary. It looks like that threat is now crossing Route 23. If you are hearing my voice in New Riegel and you are still not in your safe place, you need to be in your safe place at this point because it is coming into your area. Moments from now, that potential circulation is going to be crossing Route 587 in and around New Riegel. Now, it does bear a warning here that the Hancock County Sheriff did report no damage across Hancock County at the latest check. This is now moving into Seneca County, and we still have fairly strong indications. We're looking at some of that rotation. It does appear that it is just on top of New Riegel at this point, south of 224, and it does look like that rotation is to be coming through New Riegel, John.
Yeah, and we did just get word that that likely rotation has just crossed U.S. Highway 23. So, Chris, that's the spot you pointed out there. Has just crossed State Route 23 and is moving to the east. The storm motion is still due east at 40 miles per hour. So due to the fast evolution and development of this storm system, you need to be ahead of the storm. So anybody in Seneca County there, get to that shelter and get to that safe spot, especially the city of New Riegel. But due to that storm motion, and I'm actually going to put a storm cone on this one to give you a better idea for when you can expect it, assuming it maintains that rapid motion to the east at 40 miles per hour. So we're going to draw this storm cone to give you an idea of when that rotation is likely to arrive in your neck of the woods. So it's moving to the east. Seneca, Bloomville, New Riegel, you need to be in your safe spot. New Riegel is just minutes away from seeing that rotation directly overhead now that it's just crossed State Route 23. So we did just get word from the National Weather Service that Hancock County is no longer within the confines of this tornado warning. So we are giving the all clear for Hancock County now. Chris reported that there was no damage reported. You'll notice the pink polygon no longer includes Hancock County. So our focus is now shifting to the east. We're watching especially that southern tier of Seneca County, especially the city of New Riegel. We are also watching northern Wyandotte and northwestern Crawford County now that the polygon has passed off to the east. So looking at the city of Findlay down towards Vanlue, you have the all clear. This storm has now cleared your vicinity and is now moving into Seneca County, still maintaining that very quick eastward motion at 40 miles per hour. Again, Hancock County no longer in that tornado warning. We are still keeping a very, very close eye on this. You'll notice those bright purple colors. We have now crossed over to the east of State Route 23, moving towards New Riegel. There's State Route 587. That bright purple color shows you where there is likely rotation and a possible tornado on the ground, moving to the east towards New Riegel and Seneca, pushing into central Seneca County. So we do have an updated report from law enforcement that there was a reported tornado on the ground just to the west and southwest of New Riegel, and that is as of 7:15 p.m.
Okay.
So that's an area that we identified, Chris.
Yep.
West-southwest of New Riegel.
And I want to give another shout out here too, because John, if that is exactly the case, again, New Riegel right in this vicinity here. We've also got Berwick, which is just south and west, or south and east rather, on 587. So Route 587. John, if you could get me in this area here. There we go with New Riegel, and this is where we're likely seeing just on the southwest side. So it's probably in this vicinity that we're seeing that. So we're now east of Route 23. So that is Route 23 there, the bend there that is now moving to the north and to the east, or almost due east at about 40 miles per hour. So New Riegel, 587, you still need to be in your safe place because we are getting more serious confirmations, or at least indications that we've at least had or continue to have a tornado that is on the ground. If we widen this back out, John, because we're right along 587, I do want to indicate where we're going to be going next. So we're going to be headed to the south end of Tiffin. So if you're in the city of Tiffin, that circulation is off to your south and west. And we are getting reports that we've got the sirens that are going off all over Seneca County, and rightly so, because this is an indicated tornado that is has been or likely on the ground. So southern parts of Seneca County, this is going to be continuing its easterly motion. No indications that this is weakening quite yet, so need you to stay put as we continue to get updates on this. I'll give you the all clear in Cary. We're giving you the all clear Fostoria. We've given you the all clear in Hancock County. So that is a good word of note that those locations that prior were under that threat or risk of a tornado warning are now in the clear. So we do suspect, John, let's get back in a little bit closer to where we may be seeing that circulation in south and west of Tiffin. Reports that have been coming in that could seriously be something that continues to be on the ground. And at this moment, it would likely be crossing 587 right around or just south of New Riegel. And that is going to continue to move to the east. So next up, it's going to be State Route 53. That's a major route that comes out of Tiffin. There's 224 on the south end of town. And it is going to be coming south out on State Route 53 in the next few moments. This is moving east at 40 miles per hour. So it covers a good amount of ground in a very short amount of time. That is going to be then headed over toward State Route 231. That is south out of Tiffin. So those are two of the state routes that are going to be next up. Currently in the threat, it is 587, heading towards 53, and then eventually heading towards 231. Tiffin, you are under the tornado warning. You are on the northern edge of it. We want you to be in your safe place. And again, this is the what we do. We broadcast over the air when we cover tornado warnings in their entirety, as we know that these could be serious situations. So as it stands right now, John, getting a new scan that just came in there, can we tell if this is shifting now east of New Riegel?
Yeah, certainly moving to the east very quickly. And to give you an idea, for those of you that live in the city of Tiffin, this rotation is currently occurring 8 miles to the southwest of you, and it is moving due to the east into central Seneca County. So we are watching still that storm motion is very quick east at 40 to 45 miles an hour, now moving over and to the east of New Riegel. Now, the latest update from the National Weather Service still maintains this warning until 7:45 p.m. Now, in addition to the rotation aspect of this storm, we are getting some indications of some large hail. Some of that hail could be up to 1 inch, even a slightly larger than 1 inch in diameter. So we are seeing the hail potential, also some strong and gusty winds. And that warning does continue until 7:45 p.m., not only including Seneca County, but also northern Wyandotte and northern Crawford County with that one as well. Now, Hancock County, we did give you the all clear from the tornado warning, but there is a new severe thunderstorm warning. That's the yellow polygon that you see there in Hancock County. So there will still be some potent thunderstorms thunderstorms in Hancock County. But as far as this tornado warning threat, we are identifying Seneca County as the area where the rotation is the strongest, 8 miles south and west of the city of Tiffin. Those of you in Tiffin and southern parts of Seneca County need to be in that tornado shelter. If you do have any friends or family from New Regal up towards Tiffin, make sure that they are in the tornado safe spot as well, because we are watching that rotation that is just several miles now away from the city of Tiffin, likely occurring just to the south and southwest of that, pushing into the central portions of the county. And we've gotten a number of helpful reports thus far this evening from the National Weather Service, from communicating with them, as well as trained storm spotters. And we did get that law enforcement report that there is a likely tornado on the ground in Seneca County. So we're keeping a close eye on that one. We mentioned that to you right at 7:15 p.m. and that was likely to the west and southwest of New Regal. It does appear that that threat is quickly racing off to the east and has now crossed over State Route 587 there, Chris.
Yeah, you know, I really want to focus on Route 53, because I think that's next up of where we're going to be seeing some of the more serious concerns, because if we do have that tornado on the ground, we suspect it is along 587, right around New Regal, just south of New Regal, that continues to track east at about 40 miles per hour. This is State Route 53, and really, if you are anywhere south of 224 from about Tiffin on 53, I need you to be in your safe place at this point, because this is something that is going to be something very serious. Just east of State Route 53, we've got Mohawk Golf Course out here that is just off of Route 231. That's a good indication of where this is going to be heading next, because that is directly in the line of where this circulation is moving on the south end of Tiffin along 224. That is one of the major thoroughfares that takes you around the south end of Tiffin. You need to be in your safe place. You need to be seeking shelter, because we have had several reports now, or indications of not only strong rotation, but law enforcement confirmation that, yes, we have been talking about a tornado. Now, we did check in with our Hancock County sheriffs. No reports of damage that have been reported in Hancock County. You're all clear in Hancock County. This threat does include, though, much of Seneca County. It does technically, John, and correct me if I'm wrong, it still does go down into Wyandotte and Crawford County, but the data that you and I are looking at, it seems like that's a little extra conservative, even if you're in Cary or just east of Cary. The northern part of Wyandotte and northern Crawford County, you are technically under the tornado warning, but John, I think you'd agree with me, our assessment says this is probably more so right out there toward New Regal, tracking east at about 40 miles per hour. Bigger threat is going to be across Seneca County. We could be pretty clear about that.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Chris. It's Seneca County that we want to put on the highest alert, especially now towards the central part of the county, right along the Sandusky River there. That is a good landmark to use for where the rotation is moving. Now is quickly racing off to the east of New Regal into the central portion of the county. So this is going to be several miles to the south of the city of Tiffin, where you see those vivid reds and purples. That indicates where the rotation is the most significant. And we want to give you a heads up that if this likely tornado is still on the ground, it is likely to cross State Route 53 right now. So those of you, as Chris pointed out, right along State Route 53 in the central portions of the county, that is where the rotation is likely occurring. I do want to point out some of those bright purple colors, and there's State Route 53. This storm cell is racing off to the east. There's the Sandusky River there in the central portions of the county, and this rotation is quickly pushing off to the east. So Seneca County, you are on high alert. This is where the warning is producing the most likely rotation, and especially those of you that live right around State Highway 53, where we were seeing those bright purple and red colors in the central portions of Seneca County, south central Seneca County, right along the Sandusky River there. That is where we are seeing the rotation move. This is now to the east of New Regal, but is quickly pushing still to the east at about 45 miles per hour, Chris.
John, I'm looking at radar as well. I'm going to get a little bit closer in on this, because we are looking at that indication of that radar indicated rotation that was confirmed at least once or twice by law enforcement and spotters that have been down on the ground. Let me give you another little landmark. If you're down there toward McCutchenville, that is right there at the junction between 587 and State Route 53. So it's right there at the end of my fingertip. That is where McCutchenville is. New Regal is just north and to the west of that. This is coming out now along State Route 53. John mentioned it as well. So here's the Sandusky River that winds and twists its way through parts of, or the entire part of Seneca County. That rotation is along the river right now is where we're seeing that rotation. So from State Route 53 along the Sandusky River, and it's going to continue its easterly motion. So if you are in Tiffin, I want you to take your precautions. I still want you in your safe spot. It does appear that this is about 3 to 4 miles south of Tiffin, where we're seeing some of that rotation. location along 53, and that extends from Tiffin all the way on 53 to McCutchenville is where we're seeing that possible rotation, and where we've gotten confirmation, at least by multiple sources, that there is a tornado on the ground. John, another thing I need you to do for me, take me back over toward Hancock County, because there's been a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for Hancock County. So obviously we're a little tense after what we experienced down there in the city of Findlay. This severe thunderstorm warning, John, go ahead and give me a touch right here. Just let me know what time that's going to be in effect until. Was just issued moments ago, and we've got that severe thunderstorm warning now till 8 p.m. That is in Hancock County. That's going to include the southern half of Hancock County. So we're looking at Mount Blanchard, Vanlue, over toward Route 68 and I-75. We've got Corey Rawson. We've got Bluffton in this area. That's a stretch of I-75 that takes you from Findlay all the way down toward Lima. That's going to be a really treacherous drive right now, severe thunderstorm warning. But most of our concern does remain with this. John, we are getting a brand new update as well. We get frequent updates, constant communication with the National Weather Service every 5, 10, 15 minutes. So every time we see the blinking nature of that tornado warning, it means that there's some new data or something that has come in. So we'll continue to watch that. And John, they're just kind of popping all across the area. Can you go ahead, John, as we approach 7:30, give me a wide view here, because we need to indicate too as well what's going on here in the Toledo Metro and across the region. If you're here in the Toledo Metro, you're watching us across southern Michigan, we don't have any risk of severe weather. So we'll be clear about that. If you're in the Toledo Metro, Fulton County, Williams County, all of southern Michigan, now even back toward Defiance, we don't anticipate that there's going to be severe weather. We are covering active tornado warnings that are occurring, or tornado warning now in Seneca County, Wyandotte, Crawford County, brand new tornado warnings that are popping just south of Lima. That's been a storm that John and I have been tracking for a couple hours now that came out of Indiana. Gives you the indication the atmosphere is allowing these storms to spin and potentially be producing a tornado. So, John, wider perspective on this as we approach 7:30 here. We've got that active tornado warning that is down there in Seneca County, and an active severe thunderstorm warning that is in Hancock County. Estimating probably hail size 1 inch to 1.5 inches in diameter is what we could be seeing out there in Hancock County.
Yeah, in addition to the rotation, Chris, we are getting some reports of very large hail, possibly the size of a ping pong ball. And this map I've got behind me, the bright blue colors over central Seneca County show you where the hail size is the largest. Now, the latest information from the National Weather Service does show that strongest rotation is now crossing over State Route 53. So those of you that live right along the Sandusky River and now to the east of State Route 53, that is where the strongest rotation is occurring. And those of you that live in the town of McCutchenville, I do want to give you a heads up that the rotation is passing directly overhead your neck of the woods. I want to zoom in there on central Seneca County to show you now that polygon was trimmed now to just include predominantly the eastern and southern part of the county. We can take off lightning. Again, McCutchenville, those of you right along the Sandusky River and east of State Route 53, that is where the rotation is occurring. Now, we did just get a report of a utility pole down near McCutchenville and State Route 53. That is an area we reported on where there is rotation occurring. Obviously, there's some strong winds, rain, and hail going on with this, so it's unclear whether that utility pole was down due to the winds, due to the thunderstorm, or due to a possible tornado. But either way, it is locations right along and east of the river there that we are seeing that rotation in central Seneca County. Those bright purple colors indicate that this storm is still racing off to the east. Latest update from the NWS still keeps that warning in effect for another 15 minutes. At 7:30 right now, this warning goes until 7:45 p.m. It has been trimmed a little bit to now just include predominantly the southeastern part of Seneca County. But those of you right along and to the east of State Route 53, that is racing in your direction. State Route 231 also is in the line of fire of this storm. And the city of Bloomville, if it does maintain its intensity, likely heading in your direction as well. But we did get that update on the town of McCutchenville near State Route 53. There was a utility pole down, and that is where the strongest rotation does appear to be occurring right now. And Chris, we oftentimes look at various radar tools to indicate whether there may or may not be a tornado on the ground. Are you seeing any indications one way or another?
Yeah, so something that concerns me, and these are the tools that you're going to see with the WTOL 11 weather team. We have the ability now with Doppler radar, should we suspect tornadoes, to actually detect tornado debris. If you lived here in Northwest Ohio a long time, this is stuff that you really have never seen before. We could do it with Doppler radar because we could detect things that are unusual in the sky, and that's exactly what we've seen here. It looks like a confusing map, but I want to highlight one feature in particular. That blue hue there, that blue feature, this occurred just about 10 minutes ago. That is in indication, and this is somewhere far from the radar site, of what we call a tornado debris signature. That would indicate that, yes, we have a tornado on the ground, and not only do we have a tornado on the ground, potentially even a stronger tornado that could be doing some damage at this point, because that's how we get the debris lofted up into the sky. So, John, this feature was just about 10 minutes ago. Can you take me to the current time right now? We're going to see if we still see a feature that would be crossing. There's 53. It gets a little bit more discreet there, but some indications possibly. We saw it a little bit clearer before, just about 5 to 10 minutes ago, but we may be getting some debris signatures in this area south of Tiffin, right along State Route 53. Here's Route 231. There's the Sandusky River just south of Tiffin. We could be very specific about it. And yes, you are seeing things that maybe you've never seen before, so we'll take the moment to explain it again. If we can do this with our technology, we can detect unusual things in the atmosphere, such as tornado debris, and potentially we have another indication that there's been some damage that's been done. So we're going to make those calls again down there to Seneca County authorities just to see if there's anything that was in the vicinity. Like you and I said, New Regal is about where that debris signature was showing up on radar. It's something that we did very successfully last year, if folks may remember, on June 15th of 2023, where we had an outbreak of about a dozen tornadoes in northwest Ohio. We captured multiple tornado debris signatures on radar, and it allowed us, to be honest with you, to give that warning to save lives and to let people know that there was a tornado on the ground. John, if you can as well, I've got another slide as well prepared that's got the velocity signature. So let's go over to that velocity signature for this area. And yeah, John, we've got a lot of motion here, a lot of turbulence. We've switched over radar sites now. So we're actually tapping in to the Cleveland National Weather Service, and yeah, we're indicating that we are now seeing that rotation and some strong indications here that this is now just east of State Route 53. So here's 231 that is directly south out of Tiffin, and it's really fascinating to watch this unfold because we get updates every 60 seconds on this data. It continues to come in, so we've got new information that's streaming in. And what we're seeing here, John, it does look like we've got some indications of circulation of winds that are moving toward the radar site and perhaps winds that are moving away from the radar site, which would show us that this circulation is still continuing south of Tiffin on 231. Here comes the junction with State Route 67. We've still got 224 as a marker here, and if you're out there toward Republic, you are in the clear. You are not in this warning, but I know it's uncomfortably close to you as that circulation is just southwest of you. I mentioned a little bit ago McCutchenville. You're right in that area by 587 and 53. That circulation is now north and east of you, so we're about ready to give you the all clear in McCutchenville, and we're going to give you the all clear, John, New Regal. We certainly hope that the folks are okay down there in New Regal, that everyone is without damage, and we can move on with our evening. But we're going to continue to cover this, and I'll tell you, John, we are not going anywhere with this because what we're seeing on radar, the potential of a tornado debris signature, the velocity signature that we're seeing, same stuff that the National Weather Service is seeing. If you are hoping to catch your favorite program tonight, just going to be honest with you, we're going to be in control of this situation for quite some time because if you're here in the Toledo Metro, I understand. There's no storms. There's no real risk of any severe weather. But we do this similar courtesy to you. If there would be a storm in your backyard or your neighborhood, we will, by obligation, cover any tornado warning. So just be patient with us. We're going to continue to cover this through its duration. That's just how it goes, folks. So 7:35 the time, we at least have that tornado warning, John, until 8 p.m. You and I both are seeing a very concerning sign across Seneca County that we've got rotation on the south end of Tiffin, just south of Tiffin.
Yeah, Chris, these radar tools are certainly incredibly helpful for pinpointing the rotation, but we are also looking to the National Weather Service for visual cues. What are the skies doing? What are the clouds doing? So we did just get a report that New Regal did see a funnel cloud and a possible tornado as well. So Chris just pointed out New Regal, how this rotation is now moving to the east of New Regal. So yes, we did get indication that, hey, there was a funnel cloud that occurred in New Regal. Now, we gave the heads up to McCutchenville moments ago. It does appear that the rotation is now moving to the east of McCutchenville, and I do want to give a heads up to the town of Melmore, Ohio. You need to take cover right now at this moment. Melmore is a town in Seneca County where the rotation appears to be the worst. Melmore is located to the south and southeast of the city of Tiffin. Tiffin now. So that is where we're seeing the strongest rotation at the moment. Still seeing that 40-mile-per-hour eastward trajectory on this storm cell as it now pushes off towards the southeastern quadrant of Seneca County. I'm going to take off lightning and show you if we have any storm reports that are coming in. Of course, there's that funnel cloud I pointed out near New Regal. This has a history of producing a law enforcement reported tornado there to the west in Hancock County. So this is clearly not just a radar indication at this point, but we've received several reports from trained spotters and from law enforcement. This is the funnel that I just pointed out. Numerous observations of lowering funnel clouds, which of course are precursors to tornadoes. So with this storm's history, with the radar tools that Chris pointed out, and of course with the visual observations that we're getting from the sky, we are keeping a very close eye on all of the ingredients that are really set up today for a system that could be producing not one, not two, but possibly a tornado that has been on the ground multiple times or even multiple tornadoes. Time will tell on that, but right now we are keeping a very close eye on southeastern Seneca County there as we look towards the city of Tiffin. It is now southeast of Tiffin. Bloomville is one of the areas in the line of fire. You can see State Route 19 there, moving from north to south. Areas right along and to the east of that road is where we're seeing the worst of the rotation at the moment.
And John, you were spot on with that. And I want to go back to something that you said specifically. You said Melmore, because that is exactly where we're seeing that rotation. We could get back over to that velocity signature. And John, you're just really on top of this. Melmore's right here at the end of my fingertip. So we are south of 224. This is Route 100, and Melmore is located right in this area. So if you're from Seneca County, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's where we're seeing our circulation is now along the Sandusky River. So here's the Sandusky River here. It snakes through the southern part of the county. Here's 231. This circulation continues to move to the east, moving east at 40 miles per hour. And it is coming right into Melmore. We're getting a brand new update. And look at that. That's a bit of good news. If you're up there in Tiffin, that tornado warning has now been trimmed back for your area. So that tornado warning now trimmed back in Tiffin. So if you've been in your safe place, I know it's been a few tense moments. I hope we've been here to talk you through it and to make sure that we give you the best information. You are now all clear in Tiffin, but right along now and east of State Route 53 is still where we have that circulation. There is Melmore. Next up, it's going to be Bloomville. That is State Route 19. And look at that. John, get me back over here because we just got a brand new scan. So move me a little bit more in that direction. Looking likely that we've just come through Melmore, and that's the immediacy of the information, how quickly we get those updates and how rapidly evolving this situation is. We are now, here's State Route 67, south of 224. So if you know that junction is just outside of Bloomville, State Route 19 here. We are really kind of on the southern edge of Seneca County, and that is where that circulation continues to move. John, you should probably have an update with the latest radar scan as well.
Yeah, we are seeing the latest radar scan, and we're also getting some large hail reports in Seneca County, Chris. We just got a report of 1-inch diameter hail. That's close to the size of a golf ball that is occurring in Seneca County. So in addition to a very likely tornado that did touch down at some point in the county, there could be some damaging hail with this as well. I do also want to point out that that polygon, that tornado warned area, has been trimmed a little bit, which means that Wyandotte County is no longer under the impact of that tornado warning. So we will give you the all clear down towards Wyandotte County. It is now southeastern Seneca and northern Crawford counties that we are really pinpointing. I want to flip over to just the warnings. We still do have that thunderstorm warning that is occurring in southern Hancock County, and that one is going to be for some very large hail, some gusty winds and heavy rain. But as far as that tornado warning is concerned, that no longer includes Wyandotte County. It is now just southeastern Seneca County and northwestern Crawford County where that warning is in effect. Chris pointed out the town of Melmore. That is one of the towns we're still keeping a close eye on. Also Bloomville, Ohio, the National Weather Service has just identified that is where the rotation is heading, and due to the rapid motion of this storm, Bloomville needs to seek shelter immediately as well.
Yeah, John, that is continuing to be a rapidly evolving situation, and we're going to get a little bit closer to this active tornado warning. Bloomville is one of the areas that John just mentioned as well, that we're seeing this really intense storm, tornado-warned storm, that is along and south of Route 24, very familiar route. John had mentioned as well, just not only Bloomville, but next up it's going to be Attica. So Attica's just in this vicinity right here. You're a little bit closer to State Route 4. So State Route 4 is right here. You are in the path of this tornado warning, if you are in State Route 4, anywhere in the southern half of Sandusky County. So John's putting the time of arrival out on this. So from it stands where it stands right now, this is going to be moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. If we could, if we could pop me back up on the screen here, that'd be great. There we go. So here we are, Bloomville, State Route 19, just south of Republic. This goes along 224. Attica is right here. We've got Seneca East High School, which is just on the west side of town. I've been out there for several cross-country meets. Beautiful school in that area of Seneca County. You are under that active tornado warning that is right along 224 and west of Attica. Right now where it stands, though, that rotation is along and moving toward State Route 19. So this is an area that is going to continue. We're going to continue with this tornado warning in its entirety based on what we're seeing, John, with the velocity scans, the potential for that tornado debris signature. John, if you could go ahead and throw that back up there, that potential tornado debris signature. And again, it's a tool that you're going to see the WTOL 11 weather team using frequently. This is where we're looking here, John. So let's go back a few scans and let's see if this changes over the course of the past 10 or 15 minutes. All right, there we go. Take it back one more. Tough to tell there, but it does look like we're going to watch this feature very close because I suspect we call this a correlation coefficient drop. And where we see that, it's a potential indication if it's co-located or located where we got that velocity signature. John, if you could switch over to the velocity, or we could scope this perhaps. Yeah, it's in that area. It seems like it's in that vicinity that we're seeing that rotation that is now east of 231 and headed towards State Route 19 right around Bloomville. John?
Yeah, also do want to give you an update, Chris, as far as the bigger picture on this. The National Weather Service has extended this to the east a bit. So if we're looking at the southern tier of Huron County, you need to be in your tornado shelter as that tornado warning has been extended into your vicinity as well. We're still watching very closely. Northern Crawford County is now under that tornado warning. And you'll notice the flashing pink polygon over towards the side of your screen shows where this warning has been extended and pushed off to the east by the National Weather Service. So, of course, where we're watching the most closely right now is in Seneca County. Chris did point out Attica, likely before 7:50 p.m. The city of Attica, that rotation is going to be directly overhead. Right now, the worst of the rotation is near Bloomville, and it is racing towards Attica. And this one has a very quick motion at about 40 miles per hour, so we can draw that over to the east. Again, by 7:50, within the next 7 minutes, Attica, you are likely in the line of fire of this storm cell. And I do want to give you that new information again. We're looking at southern Huron County also to be in the line of this storm cell as it continues to move directly to the east and is eventually going to clear out of Seneca County and move towards Willard. So after Attica, it's likely to be Willard that is in the line of this storm cell as it continues to move to the east. This tornado warning is still in effect for northern Crawford County. That does not include the city of Bucyrus, but New Washington and some other locations just in the northern tier of that county and approaching the Seneca County line. That is where we're watching. Again, this new information shows you we still have that thunderstorm warning for Hancock County, but the extended tornado warning that is now moving off into north central and eventually northeastern Ohio. And that warning is going to go a little bit later than the 7:45 time. The latest tornado warning that is issued for Crawford, Huron, Richland, and Seneca County, that goes until 8:15 p.m. So I want to draw an arrow to it. That goes until 8:15 p.m. We've got about another 31 minutes on that tornado warning. It is likely that it will expire at some point for Seneca County, but we are not giving you the all clear because the city of Attica is in the line of this storm cell, and it's eventually going to be moving towards Willard as well. If you live in Bloomville or you have friends and family in Bloomville, that is to the south of Republic, the rotation, the rain, the hail, the wind, that is all directly overhead of your vicinity right now as this races towards eastern Seneca County. Those of you in the city of Tiffin, not in the tornado warning polygon at this point, the worst of the storm is now to the south and southeast of the city of Tiffin. To give you an idea of how far away that is, we're looking at a storm that is just about 15 miles away from the city of Tiffin, but it is not moving towards Tiffin. In fact, it is moving towards Huron County, and Attica and Willard are going to be next in the line of fire as this storm system continues its eastern trajectory. And again, that newly minted tornado warning, that goes until 8:15 p.m. at 7:45 right now. Chris.
All right, John, we're going to continue that coverage. So I know and I understand the weather is entirely quiet across the Toledo Metro, but this is a service that we provide for any county that is under a tornado warning here in Northwest Ohio, something that we take take with very serious pride and dedication to make sure that we're giving you that clear and, yes, that calm, reassuring information that we're going to take you through this storm. So here's what I've got coming up here. John, I'm going to have you do a few things for me because I got the velocity scope, and this is exactly what we're seeing. It is now moving just north of Likens, south of Bloomville. That is moving east of Bloomville. Go ahead and, John, keep this feature up here. Just go ahead and touch that storm tornado debris icon. See if we can just, in this window right here from the palette, if we could just put that over and to see if we can have that debris signature. It would indicate, and maybe it's not showing up there, which would be great news. If we're not seeing that tornado debris signature, that is something that would be ideal at this point, but we are still seeing a strong indication of rotation that is now crossing State Route 19 just east of Bloomville. This is going to be headed towards State Route 4 out there toward Attica. Take us back over to reflectivity, John, and we'll indicate what we're seeing. This is a really hefty storm. Potential for quarter to ping pong ball size hail that is also occurring with this. And let's be honest, we're here in still the first half of March. We're not fully used to spring severe weather season. The WTOL 11 weather team, we're ready year-round, but maybe this is catching your attention here early in the season, as it should. It's been a busy start to the season across much of the area, but we've got that circulation. Hefty storm that is in southeastern Seneca County. This is south and east of Tiffin. Now east, it is appearing of State Route 19, headed towards State Route 4. John, get me a little bit closer to Attica here. Let's see what's going on in Attica, because I'm a little concerned about that if that circulation is going to be going south of Attica. All right, so there we are in Attica. If you've driven this route, that's 224 and State Route 4, extending back over. So I can actually highlight where we suspect this tornado may be. Here's State Route 19, Bloomville. It's east of State Route 19, south of 224, and west of Route 4. So I'm capturing that potential tornado right here in this area. This is where I feel it is, east of Bloomville and south and west of Attica, and there's State Route 4. John, if you can give me a velocity signature, I'm assuming that that velocity signature is going to show up right here. You could scope it for me. Yeah, there we go. So it is right at the end of my fingertip. It is now east of State Route 19, and that velocity signature is moving toward State Route 4. Along and south of Attica. So if you are in Attica, I need you in your safe place. Mentioned moments ago as well, Seneca East, that is a high school right there at the end of my fingertip, right off of 224. The circulation is about 1.5 miles south and west of Seneca East. High school. So keep that in mind as it does cross State Route 4.
So we do have some new information, Chris, pertinent to a newly issued tornado warning. So earlier in the evening, we gave you the heads up in Hancock County. We tracked that storm from start to finish.
Sure.
There has been a newly issued tornado warning. There is a separate cell on the back side of this that has prompted a tornado warning for the southeastern part of Hancock County and also the entirety of Wyandotte County. So that first storm cell, that is now moving towards Huron County, but this second storm cell has prompted a newly issued tornado warning. That one goes until 8:30 p.m. for southeastern Hancock and Wyandotte counties. We were talking about the severe thunderstorm potential with that one. Well, it does appear that there is rotation with this cell as well, and that now includes cities like Mount Blanchard, Upper Sandusky, and is now moving off to the east as well. So it doesn't appear to be quite as well developed as the other tornado warning storm, but there is still rotation on radar in each one of those, and I'll show you the bigger picture here. Again, this is not for the Toledo Metro, but there is a very active scene on radar to the southeast, and we can show you these two separate tornado warnings. This one goes until 8:15 p.m., and that includes Crawford, Huron, Richland, and Seneca counties, and the new information shows you the entirety of Wyandotte County as well as southeastern Hancock County, and that one goes until 8:30 p.m. Now, this new tornado warning is a radar indicated one. The National Weather Service has said that a severe thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado, and the city of Arlington needs to take shelter. This is 10 miles to the south of Findlay. Even though Findlay is not in that line of fire and is not in that tornado warning cell, Arlington is where the rotation is occurring. Mount Blanchard also in the line of fire of that storm cell. Cary and Upper Sandusky, this tornado warning storm is also heading your way, and we've been monitoring this one very closely. Chris pointed out Attica. The rotation is directly to your south. It has just crossed to the state State Route 4. There's State Route 4, and we're seeing that purple color. The city of Willard could very well be next in the line as that continues to move to the east. Willard is getting reports of pea-sized hail, and we're also getting reports of hail up to the size of a golf ball. That's near Bloomville, Attica, and south of Attica. And that bright purple color to the south of Attica, that likely not only shows you where the rotation is occurring, but also what we call a hail core, where there is the strongest hail with this cell. Between Bloomville and Attica, we got some very large hail reports. Some of those hailstones could even be the size of golf balls. So again, south of Attica, right along State Route 4, moving towards Willard. That is the first of these tornado warning cells. And the second one, the newly issued one, that is occurring in southeastern Hancock County, moving towards Wyandotte County, Mount Blanchard, Arlington. Those are some of the areas of concern. The city of Findlay, not in that tornado warning, but Upper Sandusky and Cary, you are in the line of fire of that secondary cell. But to me, it looks like the Seneca County storm that is moving towards Huron County. That one is packing more of a punch. So National Weather Service has reported they are seeing a strong tornado debris signature.
Yep.
Chris has been looking at that. We've been looking at the velocity indications, and there is likely debris that is being lofted off the ground right now.
All right, John, and back over here, and this is exactly why you're watching the coverage on WTOL 11, because we've got the technology to do this. We've detected as well, as I said, with the National Weather Service. Here it is. That is a tornado debris signature. So, folks, real time. We're viewing what we believe to be a confirmed tornado on the ground. So this is a very serious situation in Seneca County. We're going to stay a little bit longer with this particular tornado warning. As John mentioned, we're going to ping pong back and forth because we've got multiple tornado warnings. But when we see a tornado debris signature on radar, and folks, this is something I've only covered a few times here, last time being last year, June 15th, where we had 12 tornadoes across the area. But we can get really specific where we're seeing that tornado debris signature. It's right where that icon is. So it is about, what do you say, John, about 2 miles south of Attica is where we're looking at that tornado debris signature. This is now clearly, all right, about 4 miles south. So if you are in Attica, I still want you in your safe place because we want to use an abundance of caution. But this is now the tornado debris signature 4 miles south of Attica that is working through Seneca County. It is east of State Route 19. Remember, just about 5 minutes ago, we highlighted that geographic area east of State Route 19, south of 224, west of Route 4. My concern is if you are south of Attica on State Route 4, I'm going to say it in this no uncertain terms here. We've got a tornado on the ground that is getting ready to cross State Route 4 in the next few moments. So that is an indication right there, confirmed as well as what we've been seeing, that tornado debris signature that is now crossing State Route 4 about 4 miles south of Attica in Seneca County. That is going to head then into parts of Huron County. So John mentioned Willard is going to be next up as that moves into parts of Huron County. But this is something that we firmly believe on the ground that is a tornado on the ground. And it is going to be moving east at about 40 miles per hour, crossing a State Route 4. Should end up going just north of New Washington. That's what we'd be indicating. So New Washington right there. Just north of New Washington is where we're seeing that circulation. It's in this area south of 224, dipping a little bit more south, and that's not unusual for tornadic supercells. They tend to dive a little bit south of east as they dive into some of that richer instability and moisture. And John, this is a supercell storm that really at this point not competing with many other storms in the area. So it is something that has been able to sustain itself for quite some time.
Yeah, that first round of storms we got today, Chris, was more of a linear structure. In other words, when you look at radar, it's just a line of storms. What Chris means by supercell is there is a rising, rotating updraft. So essentially, these supercell thunderstorms are pulling in a lot of warm, moist air from the ground level. And because there is so much wind shear or turning in the atmosphere, you see those bright red colors and the bright purples just to the north of New Washington. What is notable about a supercell thunderstorm, and the reason it warrants its name, is because there is a rising mesocyclone or rotating updraft, and that is conducive to a tornado. And the National Weather Service has identified there is likely not just a tornado on the ground, but we are actually seeing indications of some flying debris using that data and using that radar indication that Chris pointed out. So there's debris that has been visible. It is very, very likely that there is a damaging tornado on the ground at the moment that is lofting some sort of debris, whether that's dirt or other damage. We'll keep a close eye on that as far as storm reports are concerned. But that velocity scan is pretty concerning. To the south of Attica, north of New Washington, now just to the the east of State Route 4. That is where the worst of the rotation is occurring. And Chris pointed out this supercell thunderstorm has a history of producing funnels, producing tornadoes, and likely producing damage as well. For those of you tuning in at Wyandotte and Hancock counties, yes, we are keeping a close eye on those ones as well. But it does appear that between Attica and Willard, that is where the worst of this storm cell is moving through right now. And we do want to give you a heads up near New Washington, Ohio. That is where there is a tornado debris signature. And we've seen several scans in a row, not just one isolated instance, but several scans are showing us that this storm could be lofting up some sort of dirt, some sort of debris as a result of that. It's now to the south and southeast of Attica, moving towards Huron County, Chris.
Yeah, John, so this does appear to be diving a little bit more south of east. So we mentioned New Washington. John, that circulation from New Washington just north, so that's going to put us just to the south and to the east of Attica. And that's where we detected initially that tornado debris signature. I just did a quick check on that. I don't actively see it because it could only be a scan or two that we actually capture that tornado debris signature, but we're still seeing what appears to be by far the strongest velocity signature associated with this. So we have high confidence that we still or have recently had a tornado on the ground. John, if you could take me on radar, because we've got this tornado warning. Let's go back to the Hancock County, Wyandotte County one, because I do want to make sure that we're covering both of these, and we're going to continue to do that. We'll ping pong back and forth. This is the second tornado warning that came into the area. Time right now is 7:56. This tornado warning is in effect until 8:30 p.m. That is from Mount Blanchard. That is now down toward Forest. All right, so we are clear now, the Route 68 corridor, so that's Arlington and Dunkirk down to Kenton. You are clear. You're technically still in that severe thunderstorm warning. That is going to be no longer an issue for you. This is from Mount Blanchard and east. That does include Cary. It does include Forest. I'll be honest, this one is a little less organized. It is not as impressive on radar from what we're seeing. So I assume that we're getting some reports, or at least the National Weather Service getting some indication of why they deem this necessary to continue. We're seeing a few modest areas of circulation that are in the Forest area. That is going to be right along. That's Route 30, so one of the bigger thoroughfares that goes right across southern Hancock County, just outside of Forest. You know you're going to be in the spotlight in just a couple weeks for the total solar eclipse. Forest, Ohio is just east of theirs where we're seeing some of that circulation. That is continuing to track what appears to be along Route 30, and it's going to come into the west side of town with Upper Sandusky, just where 23 meets up on the northwest side of town coming out of Cary. John, you could confirm as well, do we have any reports coming out of this particular warning? Because just based on radar, it's not as impressive on radar as far as its strength and capabilities as what we're seeing over there in Seneca and headed into Huron County.
Yeah, Chris, we do have eyes on the ground in terms of a trained storm spotter that did report a funnel cloud. So that seems to be what prompted the tornado warning from the NWS, is that reported funnel cloud that occurred in southeastern Hancock County there. We also have to go off the environment. This is a storm environment that is conducive to spinning and rotating. And based on the past history of this, I've got local storm reports superimposed there in Hancock County. We got that funnel report. This new warning goes until 8:30, and we had that storm cell that is now in Seneca County. That was in Hancock County earlier in the evening. So based on the environment alone, and also based on that spotter report, there is a severe thunderstorm near Forest, as Chris pointed out. This is 11 miles west of Upper Sandusky, and it has been spotted to produce a funnel. So not necessarily a tornado occurring just yet, but a precursor to a tornado. And we still do think that other storm cell now further to the east that is now racing into Huron County, that one is packing more of a punch. But looking at Wyandotte County, this storm cell is moving so fast that it's really Wyandotte County we want to take cover and take shelter out of this storm cell as well.
Yeah, John, velocity signature, it is still very much with this cell just north of New Washington is where we're seeing that velocity signature, which is a strong indication that we have or may continue to have a tornado on the ground. So that is just outside of New Washington. Let's switch things back over here to Max 1. So let's take Max 1 system. Thank you very much to our wonderful crew that's keeping us on air in the back. They are really spot on with this. Is New Washington, that circulation appears to be just to the north and to the east now of New Washington. Here's 224. Now, John mentioned as well, there's Willard. We're getting very close to Willard. I have no doubt that you're hearing that rumble of thunder, the flashes of lightning. I'm going to tell you this, to be very clear. Do not go outside to try to view this tornado. It's very likely that it has been rain wrapped. You have virtually no chance of seeing it, so it is not going to be safe for you to be outside. A good reminder of what you need to be doing in this situation: you head to your basement, you head into an interior room, a room that's away from windows, nothing that's going to be jeopardizing you from the elements outdoors should this continue to be a tornado on the ground. So this is just outside of New Washington, along and south of 224. Attica, I'm going to give you the all clear now. I'm going to go ahead and give you the all clear in Attica. I'm going to give you the all clear in Bloomville, and I'm going to give you the all clear in New Washington. I think it's just as important that we tell people when they can relax and let their guard down as you're clear from that threat. We got a new radar scan there. This continues to be right across. It looks to be the Seneca County, the Wyandotte County, and eventually here the Crawford County line as this continues to march to the east. John, are we still moving at 40 miles per hour? I believe that was the latest report, 40 miles per hour on these storms.
Yep, still looking at that very fast eastward trajectory. And Chris, as you pointed out, right on the county lines, that is where it is occurring. So broadening out the picture, we do have that tornado warning cell that is now moving into the southern tier of Huron County. We have been talking about how most of the activity thus far this evening has been well south and southeast of the metro, but actually there are a few showers and a few booms of thunder. We are also keeping a very close eye on what's going up closer to the Maumee River there in the Toledo metro. I'll zoom in radar there on Lucas County and where we're seeing some just run-of-the-mill thunderstorms right now. But with the way this environment has played out this evening, we'll keep a very close eye on those thunderstorms. Those of you out towards Swanton and White House could be hearing some thunder. Also in Perrysburg, seeing some steady and soaking rain. But of course, the atmosphere is a little more primed for rotation to the south and southeast, hence why we have these active warnings. Again, for the Hancock and Wyandotte tornado warning, this one that I'm drawing an arrow to, that goes until 8:30 p.m. And the other stronger tornado warning cell, that goes until 8:15, and that one is right on the quadrant of Crawford, Huron, Seneca, and Richland counties. Right on the county line, that is where the worst of the rotation appears to be occurring right now. We're seeing those vivid purple colors there on Doppler radar, just in the far north and northeastern section of Crawford County, southern Huron County. This is to the south of Willard. This rotation likely occurring about 4 miles to the south of Willard, 7 miles to the northeast of New Washington, and about 9 miles to the southeast of Attica. So Willard, south of Plymouth, that is the area that we are most concerned about as far as that cell is concerned. And as Chris pointed out, Wyandotte County is now the primary focus for this one, as Hancock County is just about all in the clear from that. Not quite. There is still a sliver of Hancock County in that warning, but it's primarily Wyandotte County that we're focused on as well. But again, that first tornado warning cell, we're going to be looking at velocity. Chris pointed out some very strong rotation that does be appearing. Velocity is a very good tool to have, and we can see that rotation. I'm going to draw an arrow on here showing you where there's an inflow of winds and also winds going in the other direction. This is to the northeast of New Washington, where we are seeing the strongest radar indicated velocity. There very well still could be a tornado on the ground with this. Looking to the south of Willard, that rotation is about 4 or 5 miles to the south of Willard, and it's about 3 or 4 miles to the northeast of New Washington, where we are seeing those different colors butting heads, the vivid peach color and the purple color. That shows you where there is likely rotation occurring. It does appear that there is very, very strong rotation with that one, and the National Weather Service is concerned about that rotation that is now creeping towards southern Huron County with that one as well.
Yeah, John, a few more scans over here on radar. We're going to take it back over to Max 1 system, and this is strong indication on multiple fronts. We've had the reports of this, but it is south of Willard at the time. Our velocity signature is indicating that we've got circulation that is still very likely producing a tornado. It's a very tight rotation. This is now south of Willard. John mentioned about 4 miles south of Willard, so right where 224 comes in to the south end of town. We've got State Route 598. We've got State Route 61. We've got Plymouth in this area. The Willard Wildlife Marsh is right in this area, and just east of that is where I expect that circulation is occurring across southern Huron County. We will continue to cover this because it is what looks to be a fairly tight circulation that is showing up on Doppler radar with the velocity signature. So here it is, 598. John, go ahead and if you could switch over just to our velocity feature. It's going to be right in this area, so watch the end of my finger. And there it is. There's our circulation that is showing up. It is now just outside of New Washington. just south of Willard, where we're seeing that circulation, and that is going to continue to move east at about 40 miles per hour. The latest data and the latest information continues to come in. We're getting some very large hail. Oh my goodness, yeah, large hail from this one moments ago. This looks to be perhaps golf ball to baseball sized hail. It's got some spiky features to it, so we'll work to get that on air. So this is also a prolific hail producer. Golf ball to perhaps baseball-sized hail based on what we're just looking at right now. So we've got very interesting information. John, go ahead and take me up to Lucas County, okay? Because we're getting this, and I want to jump the gun on this. I'm just telling you what we're getting. We're just getting a report of a possible funnel cloud. Now, you and I haven't seen anything on radar to indicate that yet, but we do have some storms in the Toledo metro area. If our crew in the back, go ahead and get me a double box with our downtown camera and radar, that would be great. I'll give them a few moments to get that, but we want eyes on what's going on downtown as well. All right, so we're looking in the exact direction we need to, and yeah, dark skies, it's difficult to see in this time of the evening. So yes, we've got some storms in the Toledo metro. They're non-severe as far as we can tell at this point, but I want to rest assured we are keeping an eye on these heavy rain, some thunder, some lightning. We haven't had any indication that these are spinning. It's not the same environment that we have in our southern counties where these storms are a little bit more apt to twist and turn. So quick update here in the Toledo metro. John, if there's anything that we need to be concerned about, of course, we'll jump in here and continue on with the Toledo metro. But we are getting reports of what typically is what that could be. Is it could just be some inflow into a few thunderstorms that makes it appear that it could be a funnel cloud. So we'll continue to monitor that. But as of now, we'll give an update. There's well, it looks like we are just getting some brand new information, John. And this would be for Lucas County. I believe it is a severe thunderstorm warning coming in. Should pop into the system at any moment.
Yeah, we'll get you that information as soon as possible. But, you know, that southeastern cell is producing some damage for sure. We talked about the tornado debris signature with that cell. Of course, these new warnings will become populated, and those polygons will pop on the system as soon as possible.
Yeah, John, really quick, I stand corrected. That was not a new warning for Lucas County. So just wanted to interrupt there. I stand corrected. Not a warning for Lucas County.
Yeah, not a warning for Lucas County, but this cell to the southeast of Willard has a history of likely producing damage. The National Weather Service has been relaying some information. Law enforcement there is reporting damage in the southern tier of Huron County there, where we're seeing that strong rotation on radar. I do want to get you back to the velocity scan, where we are still continuing to see what is likely a tornado on the ground. We've been talking about how these bright colors, the reds and the purples, juxtaposed, likely indicating a possible tornado that is still on the ground to the south of Willard there. This is now well to the east of New Washington. So that is still the primary focal point of our concern right now. We still do have that warning that is in effect for Wyandotte County. As far as the bigger picture is concerned, no new additional warnings. That Toledo metro storm, yes, we are keeping a close eye on it. But thus far, first responders in Lucas County have not seen anything that would be concerning. There's a stalled out weather front to the south of our area, and you can really see where all of this activity is occurring right along that. You can see all those pink polygons. That is where the brunt of the activity is centered. That is where the atmosphere is the most primed and the most conducive for tornadic activity. So this activity up towards the Toledo metro, that now includes the cities of Rossford and Northwood. Yes, that could be producing a few rumbles of thunder as well as some soaking rain, but the atmosphere up there is not quite as conducive to severe weather as it is further to the south, which is why we're seeing that tornado warning there in Huron County, in Wyandotte County, and you can trace it all the way back towards Muncie, Indiana. There's really a line of active weather stretching and spanning several states as a result of that weather front, where we are currently seeing an atmosphere that is really conducive to some severe weather. So we're keeping a close eye on new information. Chris, anything about that Wyandotte County cell that's
so that's right. I'm going to head back down to that one because that's still the area I think that we're most concerned of, and we'll update you on this one as we're still seeing that circulation. A fairly tight circulation with that velocity signature that still remains south of Willard, east of New Washington, where we have had multiple reports. And John, I was just checking through some of the storm reports that, you know, our viewers are just so great at flooding our inboxes with. We have had multiple reports of what appears to be at least a funnel cloud or a tornado in the Cary area from earlier this evening.
Yeah.
This is that same storm that we continue to track that is now south of Willard, east of New Washington. The same exact velocity feature, and it may look a little muddy on Doppler radar, what we're looking at here, but we can tell you very clearly that this is east of New Washington, where that circulation is, just south of Willard. This is a State Route 598. It's right in this area. Route 61 that comes up toward Plymouth, and this is going to be headed toward Route 603. And this is now going to be moving across, securely across parts of Huron County. It is now going to be exiting Seneca County. We'll be able to give you the all clear. John, if you could take me back to reflectivity and take me over to Hancock County, because I do want to update our viewers down in Hancock County, because
yeah, there is some new information coming in.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, it does appear that that pink polygon has been lifted for Wyandotte and Hancock counties. No longer seeing that on radar. So that is certainly good news. As of now, there's only one pink polygon,
right,
and that includes the far north and northeastern tier of Crawford County, as well as southern Huron County. And this is the storm cell, that supercell thunderstorm that is producing a series of damage reports, as well as what we saw in velocity that is really concerning about that tight rotation. Toledo Metro does not have any active warnings, but it does appear that that Hancock and Wyandotte County warning was lifted, so that one is expired. You only see one warning right here on radar. I do want to put the query tool on and show you that goes until 8:15 p.m. Includes Crawford, Huron, and Richland counties, and you will notice that tag considerable. The National Weather Service Cleveland has seen what law enforcement's been reporting. There have been indications of some significant damage. Of course, we don't rate these tornadoes until after they have occurred, but there are some preliminary indications that this one was not only a tornado on the ground, but possibly a strong tornado on the ground. As we are getting reports from law enforcement, there's that considerable tag. And again, this one's only in effect for another 4 minutes, but we'll keep an eye on the threat of that and how it evolves. These storms are moving so quickly that it could potentially be extended east and further east out of the area. Near Plymouth, Ohio is where this tornado is likely occurring right now. So we do want to give you a heads up if you have friends or family in the city of Plymouth, Ohio. That is where the rotation is likely occurring with this cell that is now moving off towards the east. It does appear that Crawford County is no longer in the line of fire. This one, we're not going to quite give you the all clear yet because there is still a sliver of Crawford County that is in that tornado warned cell, but it's primarily now southern Huron County where we are seeing the worst of the rotation. I'm going to take off lightning. It is now past Willard, and we have just seen actually an extension there. You see that flashing pink box there? That's that warning that was extended out to the east of that storm cell. I'm going to zoom in on the purples there. Plymouth, there is strong rotation occurring. So if you have any family or friends in the Plymouth vicinity, Plymouth is located just several miles to the south and southeast of Willard. If we put on the velocity tool, you'll notice right there, Plymouth, where you see those bright purples and those peach colors, that is where there is likely a strong tornado that has produced damage. Local law enforcement officers have spotted and observed and corroborated what we are seeing on radar. So this is much more than just a radar indication. Near the town of Plymouth, Ohio, there is likely a tornado that is on the ground and is kicking up debris and damage as well. Chris pointed out that debris feature earlier, and we're keeping a close eye on the potential eastward progression of that one as well. But certainly good news for Wyandotte and Hancock counties now that that storm cell has been expired. But we are keeping a close eye on this very, very powerful storm cell. That rotation is clear as day there on Doppler radar that is now occurring right near the town of Plymouth, Chris.
Yeah, John, back over here, and I've got that captured on Doppler radar. So we're going to give you a few different views because we can call this a rotating supercell thunderstorm that has likely been known to produce not only one, but perhaps multiple tornadoes from what could be Hancock County through Seneca County. We've gotten multiple reports of video and pictures of what was at least a funnel cloud. We're certain about that. It remains to be seen if, when, and where it reached the ground. But this is what we're looking at here. This is in the vicinity of Plymouth, now south and east of Willard. So even though you may be hearing storm sirens and you may be thinking, is the risk still here in Willard or New Washington? You are clear of that with the latest data coming in. It is close to Plymouth. John, go ahead and take that off now, and let's just look at the reflectivity. This is going to continue to straddle just south of 224. So here is 224. The next next junction I'm going to give you, this is Route 13 as well. So 224 and 13, it appears the rotation just south of that. And now, this tornado warning, which John had mentioned, has been extended. We're coming up on 8:15 the time. So we're going to see one of these tornado warnings fall off. We'll continue with this one. And folks, we're going to continue just a little bit longer until this is clear of our area. There it goes, falls off just as we expected it would at 8:15. We are going to continue our coverage on this one until this firmly makes its way just out of our area and gets, and we can give you the all clear, because that's what we're looking forward to doing. So
and Chris,
John,
I do want to give you also an update reported by a local law enforcement officer. So radar is one thing, but seeing this in person, we got a report from a local fire department agency there. As this was crossing State Route 103, they reported not just a tornado on the ground, but per the estimates that we're receiving, this is a half-mile wide tornado crossing State Route 103, and that was before this storm entered Plymouth. So with a twister of that size and that magnitude, very likely debris being kicked up, and that is a emergency manager right along the Crawford and Huron County lines there. The fire department reported this estimated size of this tornado likely close to half a mile there in diameter. So certainly amazing to see the magnitude of that and really match what we are seeing on radar there, as the worst of the rotation now appears to be moving just to the east of the town of Plymouth as well. And again, that report was as it was crossing over State Route 103 right along the county line there.
John, pretty incredible with that. So that is going to continue to track east at about 40 miles per hour. We've got that very tight circulation that has been showing up on radar for quite some time. And I'm going to check back in. And again, it's that special feature that we have. It's the ability to detect any debris that would be showing up, or what is known as a tornado debris signature. There are still indications, and John, if that is indeed the case, and we do have a tornado that is on the ground that is in the neighborhood of a quarter to a half mile wide, if those reports are indeed true, we've yet done it again. We've captured that tornado debris signature that has been showing up on radar. And as we've been very specific on that, south of Plymouth, that was right around State Route 61. This is going to continue to move to the east, slightly south and east over the next few moments as this moves fairly quickly. Now, it still is a fairly tight circulation with this. It is moving now east and southeast of Plymouth. This is State Route 603 here. State Route 603 south of 224 and back over toward our reflectivity. All this action activity is along and south of 224 and along and headed toward State Route 13. So really some incredible data that's been coming in on this, not only with the velocity signature that we've been indicating very strong rotation. This first tornado warning was shortly after about 6:30, and this particular thunderstorm has been able to maintain its circulation and potential tornado for nearly an hour and 45 minutes. So it has been something that has had a long duration and a longevity to it, and we're going to continue to keep close eyes on that as we suspect that it is going to be nearing State Route 13 south and east of Plymouth, just south and east of Willard over the next 15 to 20 minutes. This is something that I'm certain the National Weather Service has close eyes on, as we do as well, as it continues to move to the east at about 40 miles per hour. John, any additional reports coming in?
Well, Chris, we will have an updated polygon in the next couple of minutes from the NWS. We're going to wait for that to be updated here in our system before we give you the all clear. But the worst of this storm is likely moving out of Huron County. Those of you in southern Huron County or who have family there, stay in your safe shelter. Just a couple more minutes. It is likely that for Huron County, this will be expired in just moments, but we're keeping you on the air here until the threat has totally passed. The National Weather Service has made some indications that due to the eastward trajectory of this towards the I-71 corridor, the threat is now diminishing, at least for Huron County there as well. Now, we are still keeping a very close eye on those showers and thunderstorms in the metro. Thus far, nothing severe there in the Toledo metro, as the better environment, the more conducive environment, that is still occurring to the south and southeast. Now, we do still have this tornado watch that is in effect for a number more hours. The severe storm risk is mainly going to be to the south of Toledo, but really it's this line that is stretching from Mansfield all the way back towards Muncie. That is the most concerning, and overall, these storms are moving to the east, southeast. So as a result, much of northwest Ohio is not going to see much activity. It is a narrow corridor right along that front, that stalled out boundary in the atmosphere, where there is the potential for, supercells to develop, as well as rotation. Again, up towards the metro, the atmosphere not quite as conducive to that, but down to the south and east, that is where we are seeing the atmosphere that is ripe and ready for thunderstorms.
John, I did get a new update, new data that just come in, and this is the beauty of this data that comes in really almost by the moment. We get updates every minute or two. I have captured new information on that tornado debris signature, and if you're just joining our coverage right now, this is technology that you're going to see with the WTOL 11 weather team, something that we can use to indicate where we may be seeing debris from a tornado. And what we're seeing right here, I know it's a messy picture, but where we see what we call a correlation coefficient dropout, which means, bottom line, there's something unusual in the atmosphere. That could be debris from a tornado. It is not rain. It is not pieces of hail. We're very clear about that. We're seeing this just west of Blooming Grove. So we're actually now dropping south of our viewing area. So we believe that this tornado is tracking out of our viewing area. So this is the Huron County and the Richland County line. So it is right where about Plymouth is. And if you know Willard, this is where we're seeing that tornado debris signature. And by some of the initial reports that we've had in, this potentially was a large tornado on the ground. So here's that latest data still showing. And the interesting thing about this, you may be wondering, well, where does this data actually come from? Well, it comes from our National Weather Service radar sites. The radar site that's detecting this is about 55 miles away. And as it scans the skies, it sends out that radar beam and scans the skies. This debris that it's capturing is about 5,000 feet into the atmosphere. So imagine that, a mile into the atmosphere, it is detecting what we expect to be tornado debris that has been working across not only Seneca County earlier in the evening, Huron County just in the past few moments, now down from Huron County into Richland County. That is a tornado debris signature technology that we can bring you to confirm our confidence that we've been talking about not only a tornado, but potentially a large tornado that has been on the ground for quite some time, better part of an hour and a half. So we'll continue to watch that as that circulation moves to the south and to the east of Plymouth. That is a State Route 61. This is State Route 603. Here is State Route 13. So we are now getting down into Richland County. And I'll be honest, that is not going on. That is not our coverage area. So once we are confirmed that we are clear of this and this tornado warning drops off for Huron County, we're going to give things kind of a check over across the rest of Northwest Ohio, and we're going to give you the all clear for the evening. So we're getting close to that. Time now 8:22, and I understand we've been on your airwaves for quite some time, but we believe we've had not only one, but perhaps multiple tornadoes that have been confirmed across our area, and at least according to some emergency management and law enforcement people, potential is for some large tornadoes that have existed. And what we're seeing on the latest radar indication, we always look for these notches that show up. And we've got this notch that's showing up on the southwest edge of what has been a rotating supercell that is right around State Route 13, south of 224. So that still does include the southeast corner of Huron County. And we're going to stay with this just because the magnitude of what this tornado could have been or potentially still is, as we've had reports, at least from emergency management and law enforcement, of what could be or what could have been a large tornado on the ground. You're all clear again, Willard to Plymouth, as this tracks to the east-southeast, and we're still seeing some indications, multiple circulations that may be showing up just south of 224, and indications that we've had at least some debris. And here's an example of something that may be good news in some respect. I remember I described it as when we see blue colors on this map, that is an indication of where we're seeing debris. Not so much showing up here. John, if you could just take this back maybe the past 10 to 15 minutes, kind of loop through it, you'll notice the change. There it is.
Yep, near Plymouth, you can see that debris was much more evident, no longer. So what's actually going on is it's essentially called cycling. In other words, there's a new rotation trying to form, and they're competing for energy. So the NWS did identify that State Route 13, that is an area where the rotation is crossing over, and essentially this superstorm is pulsing. It's developing a new rotation that is hopefully exiting our area. Huron County is still under that tornado warning, but as this new circulation develops, it is very likely that's actually going to occur occur to the south and east of the original rotation. Chris pointed out that notch there. You got State Route 13 going from north to south. That notch is likely pushing further to the south and southeast, now exiting the area. So it is just a sliver of Huron County that remains under that tornado warning, and it does go until 9 o'clock p.m. This includes Ashland, Huron, and Richland counties, but frankly, I do expect it to be expired before 9 o'clock p.m. We will give you the all clear, though. If you live in Huron County, hunker down, stay in that tornado shelter, that tornado safe place, even though it is just a fraction of the county that is still under that warning. Once this supercell does leave the county, we will let you know. We'll give you the all clear, but due to the history of this storm cell, due to the observations that we've gotten both from law enforcement, emergency managers, as well as the clues that we've seen on Doppler radar, certainly a very likely strong tornado and a damaging one that has been on the ground throughout the evening as well. We talked a little bit about Plymouth. That is an area that saw damage earlier. And as far as the bigger picture is concerned, you know, it's a very localized location in the southeastern quadrant of the area. So in addition to that tornado warning, there are still some powerful thunderstorms that are occurring in northeastern Wyandotte and northwestern Crawford counties. You know, those ones are not severe right now, but there could still be some hail, wind, and heavy rain up towards Norwalk and Bellevue, some booms of thunder. The good news for the Toledo Metro is I have not seen anything concerning as far as these storms go, but there could still be some rain showers and perhaps an isolated boom of thunder with those with those showers that are occurring in the metro. But thankfully, I have not seen anything concerning regarding those showers in Lucas County as well as Ottawa County as those push off towards the lake area. But we're keeping a close eye on that. You know, the warning is still in effect right now, but it does appear that that rotation is shifting off to the east and southeast. I'm going to put on the rotation tool, and you can see that rotation is now cycling, moving out of Huron County, and the velocity feature does show you that, where the reds and the purples meet. There's State Route 13 near Blooming Grove. That is where the rotation is moving on off, hopefully clearing out to the southeast of the viewing area. So we're keeping a close eye on that one, but it is likely now just a matter of minutes before that one exits the warning area for our local viewing area.
And John, hopefully that would be great news because, you know, you and I then could tell people, rest assured that we believe our severe weather threat is at least diminishing at this point. Never really expected it would be an issue here in the Toledo Metro. So as we're at 8:26 right now, you may be wondering, all right, why is WTOL 11 continuing to cover these storms if they're not in the Toledo Metro? We do this as a courtesy for any area under a tornado warning at any point through its duration. And I understand it may disrupt your typical viewing habits for your shows in the evening, but when we talk about the magnitude of what we expect happen tonight with the reports of what could have been a significant tornado or a large tornado that was on the ground across parts of Seneca County and into Huron County, I can tell you I'm very confident at this point that we're going to see an end, at least to Huron County, of that tornado warning, as it seems to be any of that circulation is now closer to about State Route 13 or now east of it, that is now moving into Richland and Ashland counties. So that would be out of our viewing area where we would no longer need to be able to cover that or be required to cover it. We would be able to send you back to our programming. So we're going to watch that very close. We still see that circulation, but again, we're very confident. We're growing more confident that it is now south of Huron County, south of 224. So if you are in Huron County, we do suspect that for the most part, we're going to be clear of that in the very near future. Now, something interesting that we go back to this tornado debris signature, we could be seeing here, John, while it's not that concentrated color that we've seen that would indicate an active tornado occurring, we could be seeing what's a dispersion of some of that debris, which means it kind of floats away into the atmosphere. So if we suspect that tornado came right across the Huron County line or just near State Route 13, that it may have lofted some of that debris up into the sky. Again, that's scanning at about 5,000 feet, something that could be still showing up even in the absence of a tornado if it is now dissipated or, as John said, cycled back and forth. So one more view. That storm is moving out, but I do want to hint at this as well. We don't have a warning for this. Look at that. Right in front of our very eyes, John. That's the reason I came over to this brand new tornado warning that just popped. I was concerned about the circulation with this one. So, John, I'm going to give you a moment to gather some of the latest information on this. We've got meteorologist John Birchfield in here. We've got meteorologist Kaylee Bowers in. Meteorologist Ryan Weekman helping to feed us as much information as well as we go through this event tonight. So, brand new tornado warning. And the reason I brought you over to this one is because I suspected that we were seeing some circulation in this. John, just hit me with the details. Tornado warning that has just been issued. Time right now is 8:29. I'm going to guess it's till about 9 p.m. or so.
Yeah, so 9:15, the latest information, I've got it on my screen right here. So that's going to be in effect for 45 more minutes. We talked about how that atmosphere is ripe and ready for spinning or rotation in the atmosphere. So this warning includes Crawford, Seneca, and Wyandotte counties. These are areas that have previously seen tornado warnings. So perhaps you were in your basement earlier, you went back upstairs. Well, you got to hunker down once again. I know it's been one after another this evening, but this one includes a good portion there of those counties. And this one does include the city of Bucyrus as well, which was not under the earlier warning, but it does appear that Bucyrus is under this one. About 23,000 folks in that polygon right there. So of course we have the one tornado warning that is now leaving the area, and yes, we have this other storm that has pulsed back up, and we're keeping a very close eye on that one as far as rotation is concerned. Again, southeast of the Toledo metro, the atmosphere is ready for some spinning. I'm going to get over to the velocity scan and see if we are noticing any rotation, and you know, just like that, there are some very strong cycling winds that are likely occurring. This is to the south of Texas there. We're looking at locations in to the northwest of Bucyrus where that rotation would likely be occurring. Again, this is not for upper Sandusky, but it's predominantly in northern Crawford County where the worst of that rotation would be occurring with that storm cell. I can put on the rotation feature there. Again, until 9:15 p.m., and that does include Bucyrus. We're keeping a very close eye on the evolution of that one as well. And we are getting some new information on the other warning. It does appear that Huron County has now been removed and omitted from that warning. So we are giving you, at least for the time being, Huron County is no longer in that tornado warning polygon. However, we do still have this newly issued tornado warning that is for Crawford, Seneca, and Wyandotte counties, and that goes until 9:15 p.m. Current time is 8:31, so about 45 minutes that you will need to be hunkered down in that tornado shelter as we watch this rotation, which is likely occurring to the north and northwest of Bucyrus. Starting to see just a little bit of a notch perhaps on Doppler radar. I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but it does look like right along that Wyandotte Crawford County line, if there is a tornado, that is likely where it is occurring, right along that county line there, pushing into Crawford County, moving to the east. It does appear that this one is also in that same ballpark, moving to the east at about 40 miles an hour, I would say. So another pretty quick mover with this one, moving at about 35 miles per hour, and that's heading into Crawford County as well. So keeping a close eye on that first polygon that has now been removed from Huron County. However, this second tornado warning that was issued, that one's going to be in effect for close to 45 minutes. We saw indications that this storm was pulsing up, and we are still seeing some rotation. That notch that I pointed out could potentially be indicative of some spinning in the atmosphere that is occurring right on the Wyandotte and Crawford County line, and that is now moving to the east at about 35 to 40 miles an hour in a similar trajectory to the earlier one. But really, the majority of northwest Ohio not seeing a whole lot of anything. It's really that corridor far to the southeast of the Toledo metro where the atmosphere is primed for rotating right along that stalled out weather front. For the Toledo metro, that rain shower is passed on through up towards BG, Wauseon, Defiance, not seeing much of anything, but we're keeping a close eye on rotation with this one. I need to check to see if we've gotten any reports from emergency managers or law enforcement.
Yep, I got you on that, John. So we did get some reports of damage in the Plymouth area, so that has been confirmed. It's obviously getting dark across the area, so difficult to discern in the pictures, but we are getting reports of damage southwest of Plymouth, so that is a storm that we had been covering. And John, I'm going to give you a quick breather here as well as we continue to cover this one. The circulation that we're seeing right now, this is north and east of Upper Sandusky. I want you to take Route 30 here. It is along and north of Route 30, more specifically right here around the Wyandotte and Crawford line. We're seeing the circulation that is just east of Sycamore. That circulation would indicate potentially a brand new tornadic circulation that may be occurring. John said, as he mentioned, this is moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. So the northern extent of Crawford County, this is going to be an area of concern. It does officially include the southern edge of Seneca County, and we covered an extensive tornado warning that took us across Seneca County. So if the storm sirens, outdoor warning sirens are going off in Seneca County, it is the extreme southern edge of Seneca County that we're seeing that thunderstorm, but more so right here along the Wyandotte and Crawford County line, just east of Sycamore, where we have that rotation. It does indicate that this storm may be spinning, and once we know the environment that is ripe for spinning or ripe for circulation, it's not out of the question that we get additional storms that fire up along that specific boundary, and that's exactly what's happening. Just north and east of Upper Sandusky, we're north of Route 30. This is the area that is north of Bucyrus. If you are in Bucyrus, this storm is a mere few miles just north and west of you. I still do want you in your safe place. If you're in Bucyrus, that extends up toward New Washington, as this is going to continue its easterly track right across northern parts of Crawford County with the active tornado warning that is in effect until 9:15. And here's the deal with this one, folks. We've had confirmed tornadoes at this point this evening, what could turn to be multiple tornadoes that end up showing up across the area. We don't take this lightly, so we're going to continue our coverage. Time right now is 8:34. This tornado warning, should we deem it to continue, and the National Weather Service as well, it goes until 9:15. So we'll have that tornado warning in effect till 9:15. That does include southern Seneca County, northeastern parts of Wyandotte County, and all of northern Crawford County, including Bucyrus. John, if you could get me a little bit closer into this circulation where we deem that circulation to be happening, that would be great. Yeah, I want to get some street levels here. So here's Route 100. This is northern parts of Crawford County. Here's State Route 19. We mentioned that earlier in our coverage. We are now south of Texas, east of Route 231. So it seems to be we're firmly now. There's the county line, just east of the county line. And look at that. That data continues to update on us very quickly here. Do we have any sort of velocity signature, John, that we can detect on this particular cell? Little muddied at this point, which means we're not entirely certain what we have here, if it's a tornado or not, but we would have what we suspect at least some inflow into this system here just south of Texas, and a little rotation. Could it be mid-level rotation aloft into the thunderstorm? It's very difficult to tell, but the point is tornado warnings are issued in advance of a potential tornado. So we're saying we at least see some circulation in the southwest corner of this, now moving from Wyandotte County into Crawford County. Enough of a concern or a signature to say, we've got a tornado warning for this, for the potential of a tornado.
Yeah, Chris, and I do expect that within the next few minutes, it's going to be trimmed a little bit. That polygon will primarily just include Crawford County as it moves out of Wyandotte County. Again, that quick eastward trajectory on this. So we are still seeing the inflow that Chris pointed out. We still do have that atmospheric boundary that is allowing these strong to severe thunderstorms to develop. There is still that rising warm air churning into it. It's not quite as clear as to whether the rotation's going in both directions or if there's just some rising thunderstorm air. But again, this is right along the county line there where we are seeing the worst of it, where there is likely rotation occurring. As of now, this is what we call radar indicated, so we're not getting any confirmation just yet. But that warning is set to go for about, another 40 minutes or so until 9:15, and that includes Crawford, portions of Seneca and Wyandotte counties. But it does appear that it's primarily Crawford County that is now in the line of fire with that one. Crawford County is likely where the rotation is occurring, and we're seeing the biggest indications. So Chris pointed out, to the south of Likens there, north of Holmes, near Chatfield, pushing towards New Washington. If there is a bit of rotation, you can see that little notch there in radar. That likely indicates where there is possibly some air that is rising and circulating with this storm cell, but it is now primarily, it does appear that it's primarily Crawford County that we are concerned about as far as this tornado warning is concerned. Wyandotte County still in that realm of the tornado warning, so we're not going to give you the all clear until that has been dropped, but still a very powerful thunderstorm. In addition to the tornado threat, there is still some hail with this one approaching New Washington, and we're also keeping an eye on some strong, powerful winds. That velocity scan that I showed you, we are seeing some strong winds pumping into this storm system, so there could still certainly be some damaging winds associated with that severe thunderstorm as it pushes there into Crawford County. As far as the bigger picture goes, really it's right along that weather boundary that we're continuing to see these storms fire off. For the most part, the threat for our area should be done by about 9:30 to 10 p.m. and we're going to give you the all clear eventually later on this evening. But right now, we still do have that active tornado warning, and we've gotten such a history of these storm reports. I do want to show you this trail of damage. We got funnel cloud reports, tornado reports from law enforcement, large hail reports. In fact, some of those hailstones could have been up to 2 inches in diameter that we got photos of. of, and it's that very narrow corridor to the south. So the atmosphere is certainly primed for producing severe thunderstorms, large hail, damaging winds. You can see a few tree damage reports there, and we also got damage reports from local law enforcement. We pointed out the city of Plymouth that saw damage that was likely due to a strong tornado on the ground. We got estimates from emergency managers estimating the size of that tornado as it crossed on through. At one point, there was a tornado on the ground that was up to half a mile wide. So that gives you an idea for the atmosphere that we are dealing with. It does appear that Wyandotte County is just about all clear. In fact, I want to zoom in there on Wyandotte County. And just like that, the NWS did trim it. So I do want to give the all clear to Wyandotte County. A few minutes ago, we were seeing signs that this was moving out. It does appear it's primarily Crawford County now that is the concern, Chris.
And John, we're going to continue to cover that because the concern is still out there with what we're seeing on radar. So let's take you to a little bit of a closer look of Doppler radar back here at the weather wall. Areas I want to let you know that you need to be in your safe spot. It is all locations in and around central and northern parts of Crawford County. And I'm going to even include in here southern parts of Seneca County, and this is State Route 4 that comes right through Chatfield. Here's Route 103. Route 103 actually runs right over into New Washington as well. So I need you to be in your safe place because, as John and I have said, that circulation, if it is an apparent circulation, still haven't been able to confirm. This is a Doppler radar indicated tornado warning with hail, very large hailstones that we've been indicating, potentially an inch or larger with this one, but we've had some hailstones that look to me 2 inches or larger, some very large hail that's been associated with some of these storms. But that rotation, brand new scan that is coming through, is along and now east of State Route 4 across northern parts of Crawford County. I still want you to be in your safe place up there in Seneca County, as we've already covered multiple tornado warnings in that particular area today. What could turn out to be a series of tornadoes that may have skipped across Seneca County and into Huron County. So that's what we do. We continue to cover these as we've got the active tornado warning. As it stands right now, it is 1 active tornado warning. This is in the Chatfield area. State Route 4, 103, and heading towards New Washington. This storm continues to move east at about 35 miles per hour and will pose the risk. Now that we're after dark, be honest with you, there's no point in being anywhere above ground if you can. You head down into your basement. Let's ride this one out. You're not going to be peeking out the windows to see anything. It is dark. These tornadoes, for the most part, have been difficult to see at the very least, or they've been rain wrapped. And at this point in the evening, there's no chance of even seeing that with darkness that has fallen across the area. So State Route 4, northern parts of Crawford County is where we're currently seeing this circulation. And John, this tornado warning, it is in effect until 9:15 this evening. Any new information that's been coming in from our folks and our partners at the National Weather Service?
Well, at this point, Chris, we're still just going off radar indications, but you pointed out Chatfield. That area to the south of Chatfield is where there is rotation that is occurring. So if there was a tornado on the ground, it would be right along State Route 4 there to the south of Chatfield, and that's to the southwest of New Washington. Again, this is no longer in Wyandotte County. It's Crawford County that we have our eyes on. Where you see that purple color, that is where there's some strong winds being pumped into this supercell thunderstorm. There is still a very conducive atmosphere to forming additional rotations. So again, due to what we've seen over the last couple of hours and due to the storm reports that have come in and occurred this evening and overnight, we are seeing signs that to the south of Chatfield, right along State Route 4, and to the north and northeast of Holmes, that is where there is rotation likely occurring. No confirmations from the National Weather Service just yet, but again, that warning, I do want to highlight it. This one goes until 9:15 for Crawford and Seneca counties, so we'll be on air every step of the way with you. That one's going to be in effect for about another 33 minutes before that one is expired or until the threat has passed. But again, it's to the south of Chatfield where there is rotation occurring. If you live in Crawford County, you've probably already been hunkered down, but please make sure that you remain in that tornado shelter until 9:15 or until the storm threat has passed. Just a little over a half an hour away before that threat has passed. But we've seen a number of storm reports over the course of the evening. Nothing thus far in Crawford County, but due to the history that these storms have produced, we're still keeping a very close eye on that. Again, all of the activity activity is well to the southeast of the Maumee River at this point, and it's primarily these two circulations, the one of which is no longer in our immediate viewing area, but we're keeping a very close eye on Crawford County there. New Washington, you'll want to make sure that you remain in your tornado shelter as well. This is occurring to the north of Bucyrus, southwest of New Washington. So those of you that have friends or family in New Washington, it is eventually going to approach State Route 602. Right now, though, the rotation where you see that purple color likely occurring near State Route 4, moving to the east at around 30 to 40 miles per hour as this storm races on through. So again, we haven't seen any reports come in from law enforcement or from trained storm spotters just yet, but that radar indication and the atmosphere alone have prompted that tornado warning, which is going to be in effect for slightly over a half an hour longer and will remain on air with you until the threat has passed. We've been keeping an eye on, several notches in this one. It does appear that the radar isn't quite as vivid perhaps as it was before, but there is certainly still some inflow coming into this storm and still certainly pumping out that supercell type structure with this one, Chris.
You're exactly right, John. And John, confirm with me, everything that we've seen so far tonight, there's been some instances where you and I have looked at the data and we said, that's a tornado that is on the ground right now. This isn't one of those instances. We're fairly uncertain on what we're seeing. We're just going off radar indicated data. Yeah,
Chris, and even though this one's a little more ambiguous due to the history that's occurred over the last several hours, you need to treat them all with the same degree of respect, especially with the history. I had just showed minutes ago, Chris, the storm reports. We're starting to see photos and videos come in from trained storm spotters, emergency managers. The inbox is certainly full with visual confirmation of what has happened.
And before we do wrap up our coverage tonight, John, we're going to be showing some of those photos and the pictures of very large hail, the reports of multiple funnel clouds and tornadoes. But John, this still does have an indication, at least, of what could be a bit of a concern with maybe a hook feature on the back edge of this one. And we can get really specific. There's New Washington. We've been talking about that, but we've got Sulphur Springs down in this area. That is just north and east of Bucyrus and over toward Chatfield, right along State Route 4. That's generally the area that we'd be of most concern. I know we do technically have that tornado warning for extreme southern parts of Seneca County. We're not seeing the concern of where we may be seeing some rotation, at least at this point. Now, the tornado warning is in effect until 9:15. That does include Crawford and Seneca County, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not as concerned with that Seneca County portion. It is a far southern clip of Seneca County. But let's put this in perspective as we cross 845 here, now on to 846. There are multiple tornado warnings stretching from nearly Akron outside of Mansfield, the one that we are actively covering right now, several outside of Columbus, a few outside of Dayton, and some outside of Muncie, Indiana. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, potentially up to 8 active tornado warnings across the state of Ohio and portions of Indiana. So let's set the stage. If you're watching here from the Toledo Metro, I'll be honest with you, there's no risk, zero risk at this point of any severe storms in the Toledo Metro. So you do not need to be on alert for this. You are just fine across southern Michigan. In fact, the vast majority of northwest Ohio, even down toward Hancock County and Ottawa, where it's been a bit of a rough evening, you are clear as well. Clear in Bowling Green, Fremont, and down toward Tiffin. The storms specifically are in this area. Tornado warning that is around northern portions of Crawford County. So here's Route 30. There's Bucyrus. Route 30, it is north of that. Sulphur Springs is what I mentioned just a few minutes ago. Chatfield, just east of there, there's New Washington. This is going to be the area, if we have rotation where it's occurring, that would be of a concern to us and something that we're going to keep a close eye on. Quick little velocity scan, and John was showing similar data. This just isn't the best area for radar coverage, to be honest with you. The beam that we use that scans the skies is north of 6 to 7, even 8,000 feet up into the sky. So we're not actually capturing what may be occurring at the lowest level. So even with some of the best data that we have, we're not capturing the full picture. So the tornado warning does continue. And in this vicinity here, northern parts of Crawford County is where we suspect we would be having the rotation. Technically, you're under the tornado warning in Bucyrus. Those outdoor warning sirens very likely have been blaring across Crawford County. I'll tell you, I feel much more confident, though, that you're going to be just fine and away from that danger in Bucyrus. But the more north and east you get up there toward New Washington, still some indications, at least, of some broad circulation with this. Hopefully, though, John,
with that tornado warnings out there till 9:15, if we start to see indications that it's weakening, perhaps that may be allowed to expire early. But I've seen some of the pictures.
Yep.
Some of the data that's coming in, very, very much warranted the coverage this evening.
Yeah, certainly warranted all of those tornado warnings. I do want to get to a few photos to give you an idea of what some of these storm cells have a history of producing. Right, you see behind me, you see what is a rapidly lowering funnel cloud. This occurred just to the north of Cary there in Wyandotte County, and it occurred earlier in the evening. You can still see a little bit of daylight on the horizon, so this was likely with one of the earlier thunderstorm cells, but Dylan Solomon captured this one. You can see a very evident funnel that does appear to be dropping and lowering towards the crowd. Again, all of these storms, every single one has exhibited some degree of rotation, so that is what prompted it and has showed that the atmosphere is conducive to that. Now, in addition to the rotation, we've also seen a number of large hail reports. Floyd captured this one. There's a water bottle for some perspective. I would estimate that these hailstones are anywhere from 1 to even up to 2 inches in diameter, and we've seen a number of reports on that one as well. So in addition to the rotation on the current tornado warning that we're watching, there could very likely also be some hail due to the wind shear or the turning in the atmosphere. We are seeing a lot of hail reports right along that corridor in this stalled out weather boundary. So those of you that live in Crawford County in that tornado warning polygon, we're not only watching the rotation aspect, but there is very likely some hail outside occurring. Perhaps even if you're in your basement or your tornado shelter, you can hear those loud hailstones banging on the rooftop. There's also some heavy rain, and we have seen some strong gusty wind damage reports as well. Those downed trees, that indicates damage due to winds, and there could also very well be tornado damage right along this axis where there is the stalled out boundary in the atmosphere and a lot of turning. And we have a lot of photos to share with you tonight. We hope you join us at 11 p.m. on WTOL 11 as we recap. By that point, the severe weather threat is going to be done, but we're not totally in the clear yet because we have about another 25 minutes left on this storm cell. And due to the history of these severe thunderstorms, we are still keeping a very close eye on it. Although based on the latest radar trends, it is quickly leaving Crawford County there.
I agree with that, John.
Yeah, now to the far south of Willard, I'm going to pop on the storm relative velocity. Over the last few minutes, it's still a bit of a murky picture as far as rotation is concerned. There's some much stronger rotation occurring in eastern Ohio. For this storm cell that is to the northeast of Bucyrus, the rotation's not quite as evident on that. So again, we're kind of going off of atmosphere and what we have seen thus far this evening. There is still a tornado watch that's in effect. We got this tornado watch during our early newscasts, and I do want to point out that it has been trimmed. It is now just Seneca, Crawford, Wyandotte, Erie, and Huron counties that are in that tornado watch. However, I do expect the threat to diminish rapidly once it clears on out. And this latest radar scan shows just about all of Crawford County in the clear. We're not going to totally give you the all clear until that warning has expired, but it does appear that this is rapidly moving off to the east. I'm looping over the last 20 to 30 minutes or so, and you can really see the evolution of that storm cell as it pulses or shifts its energy to the east. Crawford County, when that storm was issued, there was some very evident rotation. Still stay hunkered down, stay in that interior room, stay in that safe spot. We're not going to give you the all clear just yet, but we are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, that is for sure. And the bigger picture, again, shows you really not much of anything for the Toledo Metro. It is really that axis to the south and east that has produced the damage so far this evening. And in case you missed it just moments ago, Dylan sent this one in. This occurred to the north of Cary due to that supercell type structure. We saw a number of funnel cloud reports, and this is one that appears to be lowering. There's the tree line, appears to be just before this one touched down. Very likely was a tornado in the vicinity, or at least to the north of Cary in Wyandotte County, that occurred earlier on in the evening. But again, based on the daylight there, I would estimate that this one was roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours ago before the sundown occurred. I want to just get you up to date on the latest warnings that are in effect right now, showing you those pink polygons. And of course, lots of storm reports coming on in. We're going to be recapping those tonight at 11. Still some hail potential with that one in Crawford County, but it does appear that the threat is going to be very quickly exiting Crawford County as that storm cell pushes.
And that's great news, John. Great
Certainly
news.
Is. We got another photo coming in too.
More pictures that continue to come in, and this is why we've been, on the air, wall-to-wall continuous coverage since just after 6:30, and we were the first to jump on air and say, hey, we've got active tornado warnings, and here's the deal with this. And this picture, John, from Alveda down in Seneca County, from Barry Hammer, very likely, obviously a well-defined funnel cloud. Damage surveys would be able to determine if that actually reached the ground, but we've had numerous reports. Several tornadoes we suspect, or I suspect, will be confirmed from this event tonight. This picture, though, a very clear, vivid reminder that I know we're in March. This is severe weather season, and we've been prepared weeks for it. I certainly hope it hasn't crept up on you as we've got this great-looking picture. What would be an indication of what I'd expect is a wall cloud here. So the wall cloud is what we mentioned earlier. It's sort of a precursor to a tornado, and from that wall cloud is where we get that appendage or that circulation that forms that tornado or the funnel that eventually reaches the ground. So something that, yeah, it's very stark to see that. Another picture, this one was just east of Bluffton from Jeff and Carla Ewing, and we've mentioned the reports of what could be several larger tornadoes that will be confirmed. This one in the vicinity of Bluffton, we were under a tornado warning at this time, but looks to be what could be a very large funnel or circulation that would nearly certainly be in contact with the ground. And this one was just east of Bluffton. Again, all these earlier in the evening, but we also had confirmed reports. We did it live for you on WTOL 11 here, highlighting tornado debris signatures, something that you see with the WTOL 11 weather team, a tool that we use essentially now to confirm in real time if and when a tornado is on the ground. It is something that we utilized back in June 15th of 2023 when we had about a dozen tornadoes come across the area, but again utilized it tonight. When there was a tornado across Huron County that was estimated, at least by emergency management or law enforcement, reported to be a half-mile wide. Yeah, let that sink in. So we're fortunate. Our newsroom's been making calls. At this time, we don't have reports of injury. We do have reports of damage that have been spread across parts of the area, but no injury reports that have been coming in, which has been great news with that. So some incredible images that have been showing up. John, I do believe we have an update on the cancellation. We hope to be that cancellation of a tornado warning. What can you confirm for us?
So I'm looking at the National Weather Service feed right now. I do see a new flash flood warning that was issued, so fingers crossed that that warning gets canceled. But before we send you back to your programming, I do want to let you know there is flash flooding concern in the southern tier of Huron County. With how much rain these thunderstorm cells brought, there could be a flash flood concern. Additionally, the city of Plymouth, there has been some reports of some street flooding, some high water. Just a reminder, if your city or your town did see heavy inundating rain earlier this evening, the old saying, turn around, don't drown, is essential, because for those of you that may be cooped up in your interior tornado shelter, maybe you have errands to run or you have things to do after the warnings expire, keep in mind, even if you're out late this evening after the warning has been dropped, there is still going to be areas of high water and potential flooding as a result of this. As far as that polygon is concerned, I do still see it there on Doppler radar. They're hanging on to it. That includes New Washington. This is to the north and northeast of Bucyrus. Just a very small sliver there of Crawford County there that remains under that warning, Chris.
Yeah, John, and that is the brand new information as well. They are going to hang on to that warning. Still indications in and around New Washington that there may be some rotation. I would say that you and I both agree, though, that that rotation, not anything near as impressive as what we saw earlier in the afternoon and evening. So we'll take you back over to Max 1. This is where they've kept this for northeastern parts of Crawford County. So if you are in Bucyrus, you're hearing my voice and you've been in your basement or your safe place, you can go ahead, you can return to your normal activities. As we suspected, you'd be in the clear for most of the evening for Bucyrus. This is also going to include Chatfield, Likens in the clear, and most of Crawford County in the clear, but New Washington, not so much at this point. Now, anywhere west of State Route 4, you are in the clear, but we're still seeing at least indications, potential circulation that may be occurring just south and east of New Washington. It's been sort of back and forth with this little appendage that's been showing up on the back edge of this system, of this cell. That is something we're going to continue to monitor. I did do a velocity scan very quickly. As we mentioned earlier, this isn't an area, just to be honest with you, that has the best coverage of radar. We have radar coverage, but it tends to scan a little bit higher into the sky, that radar beam, just based on its proximity to the Doppler radar site. So you can miss, in some instances, lower level circulations that would be occurring down close
closer to the ground. We just showed you pictures a few moments ago of what appear to be confirmed tornadoes. So we know the atmosphere is ripe to be producing tornadoes, or at least potential to produce tornadoes. And they've all been focused across the southern fringe of our viewing area. And anywhere where we could be seeing circulation, my best estimation would be just south and east of New Washington. So that is something we're going to continue to look at. We've had indications of Doppler radar indicated rotation that would be showing up with that. No indications at this point of any debris associated with this one, but something that we're going to continue to monitor very close. As this makes its way out of Crawford County, and John, I will tell you this, Crawford County very far out from the Toledo Metro, so I understand. As soon as we assess this risk that it has left Crawford County, fortunately, we'll be able to say, all right, we can breathe easy and give people the all clear.
Yeah, Chris, it certainly does appear that once this warning's expired for Crawford County, on the back end of this line of storms, there's really not a whole lot going on. Actually, there's some colder air funneling in as a cold front sinks to the south, and that frontal boundary has been the axis for all of these rotating thunderstorms. If you look at the majority of Northwest Ohio, we're talking about 99% of Northwest Ohio, dry weather is occurring, but we are still hanging on tight to that small sliver of a tornado warning in Crawford County, simply due to the sheer history of this. There have been a number of tornado reports. You know, that other color polygon you see there, that's what we call a flash flood warning, and that clips the southern tier of Huron County. Keep in mind, there could be high water on the roadways, so perhaps you are in your tornado shelter for an hour, maybe even 90 minutes, and now you're coming out, you got an errand to run, places to be later this evening. Keep in mind, there could be high standing water on roadways, and we've seen reports of flash flooding in the city of Plymouth. So there will be some very inundating rainfall, especially those flood-prone low-lying areas, and if you do encounter high water on the roadways, turn around. As far as what the Metro is seeing, it does appear that they are already to the north of that boundary. In other words, there is some more stable air that is moving in on the north side of this, and the influx of that colder air is eventually going to drive this boundary to the south, and that is why we're seeing this activity gradually push more towards central Ohio and southeastern Ohio, and that is going to be the trend that occurs over the next several hours. You know, this line of storms that is really stretching from Indy all the way to Pittsburgh, that frontal boundary is gradually going to sag to the south and southeast over the next hour or so, and really anybody that lives to the northwest of that boundary, not going to be seeing much of anything. So I am going to circle areas that are all clear, you know, essentially from Putnam and Hancock counties all the way up towards the Metro, not seeing any additional redevelopment. It is really just this one tornado warning that remains in effect. And for those of you who may just be tuning in, do want to give you the latest information that is just for a sliver of Crawford, and that goes for 15 more minutes. We've just hit 9 o'clock p.m. We've been on the air every step of the way for, you know, about 2.5 hours now, and this one is set to expire in about 14 to 15 minutes. And beyond that, it does appear that we are seeing clearing behind that. After that, we're going to get to storm recap and talking about some of the storm reports that have occurred over the course of this evening. I just popped them on behind me. In addition to the funnels and the tornadoes, a number of hail reports, tree damage reports, funnel cloud reports. We showed you some photos of a likely lowering funnel cloud near Cary. Chris showed you that photo of the wall cloud, which is the precursor to the funnel and then eventually the twister that touches down. But all of these tornado reports and storm reports in general, those have occurred right along that weather boundary. And oftentimes when we have the clash of different types of air in the atmosphere, that is where the spinning and the rotating occurs. And generally that has occurred far to the southeast of the Toledo Metro. But, you know, regardless of which part or which sector of the area the tornadoes are occurring, we treat them all with the same level of severity. Even though the Toledo Metro thankfully dodged a bullet with regards to the severe weather, it is really those southeastern areas that have really seen a number of reports. And I think when we see daylight tomorrow, there could even be some damage associated with some of those larger tornadoes that were reported and spotted. And based on the debris signatures we got, I'm guessing there will be some damage reports coming in the coming days.
Yeah, good point, John. And to give a quick recap now that we've just crossed 9 p.m. and as John mentioned, this tornado warning officially in effect until 9:15. It is Crawford County. We're getting very close to sending you back to your regularly scheduled programming. Now, the reason we've been on air, as John said, for about 2.5 straight hours is because we believe we've had multiple confirmed tornadoes that have made their way through the area. This expected to be the last tornado warning that we cover tonight, as this is going to be moving out into Richland County in a very short amount of time. And once we get some of the latest data that really scans this cluster or this back edge of this storm out of the viewing area, we're going to go ahead and send you back
back to programming. We're going to be getting ready for our newscast, WTOL 11 on Fox 36 at 10 p.m. And then, of course, WTOL 11 at 11 p.m. We'll be gathering the damage reports, some of the photos, very large hail reports that have come into the area. And we do anticipate that this is very likely to be the last tornado warning that we cover this evening. And we're going to go ahead and send you back to that regularly scheduled programming once we give you that all clear. It is now just east of New Washington. And once we get the latest data, once we get this scan to exit out of our area, we're going to go ahead and give you the all clear. And as John mentioned, 90-some% of our viewing area, 99% of our viewing area at this point is generally in the clear. It's this last portion. There is a flash flood warning for southern parts of Huron County where they've gotten the torrential rainfall, but the last little area of concern, and we still continue to break the data down, we're not really seeing much as far as Doppler radar would indicate because it's so far from the radar site. So once we get that last indication that it is clear, this will be the last warning that we cover tonight. We don't anticipate that would be any additional severe weather, but as John mentioned, John, a wider picture of this really shows there's still a lot of activity that's been showing up across parts of Ohio back into Indiana. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, certainly going to be an active night for central Ohio and central Indiana, Chris, especially as that frontal boundary shifts to the south. Right along that boundary, even though we've lost the heat of the daytime and the warming that is associated with the afternoon hours, there is still so much turning as those two air masses clash. And thankfully, that boundary is shifting to the south and southeast. And what we're actually seeing is we're going to get the influx of some colder air. There's going to be a northerly breeze that starts to work on through, and that develops what we call stability in the atmosphere. In other words, sinking, calmer conditions as opposed to that rising and unstable air, and that instability is really meeting the prime the prime opportunity to cause turning in the atmosphere along that boundary. And really beyond this system, the atmosphere is becoming more stable, and there's really not the ingredients for any additional development for the rest of the night. So once we give you the all clear, this is not going to be a nocturnal all night severe weather event. Really, after this, by 9:15 p.m., we are going to be totally done for the night, and we will send you home, send you to bed safe and sound tonight.
All right, John, and I think we're about ready to do that as well because I've just gotten the latest data on this. Even though that tornado warning polygon is still up there, it's very clear that that risk has now exited the area off to the east. There is no longer a tornado threat within our viewing area. We don't anticipate that any storms would be sparking up at this point. So, John, go ahead and give me one wider perspective and wider view just to show the folks here in Northwest Ohio that have been joining us for the coverage for the past several hours that, yes, indeed, we are now clear and this tornado warning will be allowed to expire, and we don't expect any further issues or damage to be associated with any storms in our viewing area. We appreciate your trust in our coverage. We appreciate your reports, and we appreciate you heeding our warning and staying safe through our coverage tonight. Join us on WTOL 11 at Fox 36. That will be coming up in 55 minutes at 10 p.m. and, of course, WTOL 11 at 11 p.m. And we'll continue our recap of today's tornadoes and storm damage. Take care. Be safe.